that it's, that's him 100%. I mean, without me hearing his voice, I'm like, it's unconfirmed. But if you got friends that knew him and grew up with him saying it's confirmed, then I gotta say, hey, yeah, this is probably Brian Koberger. But I did send it into the FBI. I did clip that. I also went through 80,000 phone calls, found the number, sent it into the FBI as well, and they have that, and hopefully they get down to that information.
Good. Do you know that they are in receipt of it? Did they come back to you at all?
I know they have it. I never got an email back yet. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. It is T-REV, allegedly with T-REV. What is going on? I'm glad to see everybody in here today. How are you guys doing? What's going on with you guys today? Damn, my lights are already... What? That's crazy, bro. My lights are already stuttering over here. And I come in the studio today, and this is what it's doing to me? That's wild. Anyways, like I said, we're back for another one, allegedly with T-REV. I got... my co-host on with me today, Detective John. What's going on, Detective John?
What's going on? How's everyone?
Grabbing Scooby snacks. Feminine, Miss Go Lightly, Doozy in the building. I see we got Sal. Sal, what's going on, Salvatore?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You're good.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're good to go. Detective John in the building. Shout out to Detective John. I appreciate Detective John being here today. Glad to have him on as always. We want to get to some questions. I know you guys probably have a lot of questions. I haven't checked. Oh, I know that's playing in the background. Let's see. Any questions you have for Detective John? Okay, I see you guys enter them. There's a Q&A that I open for questions. Make sure you drop them. If you have any questions for Detective John that you want me to ask him, make sure you try to keep them about the case, please. I mean, I get the funny ones here and there that I see, but the trolly ones, I will hide you on the channel if you ask some stupid ass shit that just doesn't need to be asked. I mean, that's disrespectful, but... shout out. What's up, Salvatore in the building. Shout out to Papa Sal, man. I love you, buddy.
Sal.
Vicky BK, she says, good afternoon. Hope all is well with everyone here. Hope all is well with you too. I appreciate you being here with us. God bless you. Make sure you guys hit the like button and notification bell and turn your notification bell on. We will be doing a lot of lives coming up. We were getting back to that grind that we're used to. Like I said, what's today? Wednesday. We are going live every day of the week. We will be live every day of the week, and you never know, you might get a surprise live on the weekend. But yeah, keep your eyes open. Make sure the notification bell is turned on, and make sure you hit the like button, because people have been lacking on hitting the like button. Like, what's going on? I appreciate the love that you guys show. Just make sure you smash the like button. It's free 99. Tammy Fletcher in the building. Cali Thunder, you must be like reading my energy or reading energy. Okay, I see you. High Priestess. She says, I'm a cab driver, so I'm listening. Okay, you're a cab driver? Shit, come. I need a ride. Just kidding. So there is some things that we want to discuss today. And is there anything you want to say to everybody, Detective John?
Yeah, you'd hit on it yesterday. You'd mentioned that, you on your downtime, you go on to these other shows and you kind of creep a little bit and listening to what they're saying. And,
absolutely.
You also like when I go on, I do the same thing because you're not on all the time. I get bored. So I go on and I rarely will go on another show, but just in chat. But I see a lot of the same faces that you have on your show. And, I'm on a mission, bro. I went on a show last night and as soon as I clicked on, I heard nails and felt nails on the chalkboard. Who do you think I was referring to when that voice, the nails on a fucking chalkboard, once again are being entertained for hours on the show?
Kim. It has to be.
Unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable. I mean, obviously, maybe some people don't listen to other shows. Maybe they just stay on specific shows, but I find that hard to believe. But to have this woman who we're gonna end her. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
my
yeah.
mission is. I want to end this freaking crazy bitch. I'm sorry, because that's what she is. She's a crazy bitch, and she is spreading the craziest freaking narratives out there, and people are actually so ignorant. And I'm going to use that word again, ignorant, because they're ignorant. Because I can't really say they're stupid because I don't know them, but they're ignorant to buy into that shit. They're buying into this freaking narrative that she's this foundation that she's laid for everybody, that she knows more than anyone. She's the freaking pillar of both communities. She's like out there talking to everybody. Really? Where are all these other people? You think that these people are going to keep their mouths shut? What do you have, a gag order on the entire freaking community of WSU and Idaho? There's a
Right.
gag order, I guess. Nobody's talking about this shit. So nobody's coming on these shows purporting to be like her and know everything. Just her. She's the only one that is privy to this information. I called bullshit. I still call bullshit. We did two shows actually kind of interviewing her, and then I did one separately with it, just me and her. And I let her talk, dude. And I was not mean to her. I was totally nice to her. People confused me for Eismick. I love Eismick. Don't get me wrong. It was kind of like a good cop, bad cop scenario. Eismick was telling her she was full of shit and she was crazy. And I was patronizing her a little bit and letting her talk. And I think people confused me for Eismick. Nothing against Eismick. That was just that show. But then we did a separate show and I interviewed her. You're like, John, I'm going to give it to you. It's you and Kim. And you click back and you let us talk. And I listened to her. And, I read the email that she sent that she wanted you to send to me. And I dissected that. And people need to understand that this is what I did for a living for well over a decade. I did it for a long time. Then I went into the private sector and I did it for a living, where I made much more money. And I was selected to go into the private sector because I was very successful at what I did in law enforcement. And I was put in a position at a training seminar where I met some of these individuals in the human resources field from the private sector that had to do internal and external investigations of retail establishments. And they recruited me, and I went in. I left law enforcement. I went into the private sector, and I was very successful there, and I loved it. Unfortunately, some things have to end. They have a term called Lean Six Sigma, which is one of the companies, that the major company that I worked for was taken over by a company out of Europe. And the European philosophy, if people look up Lean Six Sigma, is basically what America is going to with a lot of these corporations. Is they will, let's say you have 200 employees, so you fire 100 of them, and that remaining 100 will do the work of the 200. So it drives the profit margin of the company up. So on the books, it looks like it's making more money, and then they dissect the company and break it up and sell it. That's what Lean Six Sigma is all about. Europe. Thank you, Europe, for doing that. I'm being sarcastic, but anyway, so this is what I did. I mean, I handled. I'm a lot more well-rounded than a lot of investigators or detectives that retired from law enforcement, because I went into totally different aspects of investigations where I handled sexual harassment, all kinds of things. And I would have employees just bald-faced lie to me. Had one employee, snapshot his penis and send it to another employee and then denied it was his penis.
Nasty
So,
work.
I mean, you wouldn't believe what I had to go through. I mean, I had this guy in a box and he still denied. Wanted to, she got pregnant. He demanded she get in a. I'm just giving you a scenario of the kind of stuff I had to do. I had to take. She got pregnant. He demanded to get a divorce. Then he denied that even happened. So I had to go to the abortion clinic and get a HIPAA form filled out and have her, because when you have a surgery like that, you have to have a driver. Guess who drove her home? He drove her home. So once I got that, I threw the paperwork down in front of him. I had the DM and a CFO involved, and he was an up and coming manager, and he had great things going for him because he couldn't keep his dick in his pants. He lost everything, and all he had to do was admit to it, and I would have just transferred her out of the store and left him there, and he would have got written up. Yes, it wouldn't have been in his file, but it wouldn't have been anything that would have kept him from being promoted down the road.
I mean, the thing that we're going to get to also is that we've been talking, Detective John and I just talked backstage, and we were discussing some things. And one thing that we decided that we should definitely do is redact the email that was sent and that she asked me to send to Detective John also. So we are going to redact that, and then we are going to elaborate on it. And then I'm going to take clips from the interview that Detective John had, where I sat back and muted my microphone, let him talk to her. And we're going to go ahead and just, show why what she's saying to be facts is complete bullshit. And why are people even still entertaining somebody that is putting out these type of lies? I mean, this is unacceptable. This is bad for the victims' families to even hear or see. And the fact that people are still even entertaining having her on is absolutely, it just makes me sick to my stomach to, thinking about it. Thank you, Terry.
It should make anyone with any common sense sick to their stomach. And it's irresponsible for any of these shows. And we've hit on it, and Sal's hit on it, and I'm passionate about it. And so are you. It came to the point where we had to actually take a stand against people like this Kim. I'm on a mission to end her ass. I'm telling you right now. Every time I go on another show and I hear her voice, I'm going to chime in. And last night when I went on, I chimed in and I snapped because I knew they would try and delete it and spank me, which the mods almost immediately did. They said, "Knock it off, Detective John," and I sent those to you, T-REV. Do you have those available?
Yeah, no, hold on. Let me look and see at my other email. I know I have one pulled up. One only got to me so far. I may have to send it again. What does it have this in here?
But the reason why I snapshotted them was because I knew that I was going to get dinked off the show, which inevitably happened. But I wasn't mean. I was nice. I'm like basically saying, why do you, after all that's gone on with this woman and the fact that she has been debunked, she pretty much admitted that she was full of shit and that she was paranoid and she fabricated this shit in her own head. None of it's true.
Right.
And these other sleuths are continually giving her a platform to spread this absolute nonsense. And that's what it is. It's absolute nonsense. And absolutely. For all these other shows and mods to support that. Okay, here you go, right here. I said, irresponsible for any of you to pay Kim any attention. Can't wait till tomorrow, which I'm referring to today, to talk about this and show these snapshots of this joke. Now there's more.
Yeah, no, I'm going to the other ones because that's the only one that somehow just was only sent. Here we go. Let me see. Let me send the other one too.
I don't think they're in like any order because I had to quickly, scroll back and snapshot them. And then one of the mods, somebody says, "Thank you, mods, for getting Detective John out of here," or some shit. It was just comical.
I mean, it's nasty work that I just can't believe she's even still being entertained at this point. I mean, it's apparent that she was, debunked over here, but the fact that it's being showed in front of a broad audience and people who are, they complain about mainstream media and what they put out, right? But then they're putting out such nonsense like this that is just, right. It's disgusting.
And this is why the Hulu show took another show and actually humiliated them. They were, and I don't like those guys, but they were suckers, man. They were suckered into doing that
I
show.
don't like those guys. They're pure copycats to bro.
Well, I
They
mean,
copied me from the beginning. They called into my show, were calling in, yeah, you should come over here, you should do this, that, and the third. And then when I went and checked out their channel, they were actually stealing out information because we were a hub for the Idaho for call-ins here. Like we
right.
built this such solid found base and family over here that they were here and part of the family actually. And when I went over and looked, I seen they were copying me. And not only were they copying me, they were stealing content. They were stealing content flat out and acting like as if they found it themselves. And not even, because if I get something, say from Grizzly True Crime, and shout out to Grizzly because I love her research and I love what Grizzly does as a creator and the passion that she has and the heart that she has for, victims and their families. And
she has integrity.
Exactly.
None of these other ones have.
And that's the thing. When I went over and seen that they were copying exactly what I was doing over here, I was like, man, these dudes are copying. And I called this out a while ago on a live stream, 2-3K people in there. And I was like, man, why are these people coming over here acting like they like me and then, copying what I do? Like, I just don't understand it. And then not only copying what I do, but taking something that we found together over here as a community and uploading it as breaking news is like they found this. Oh, nobody else found this. We found it on our own. It's just weird. I don't get it. That's why I don't really like working with other creators or nothing like that, because people are, I don't know why people do the things they do, but it is what it is, and it's part of the community, and it's going to be part of it, and that's why I chose to just branch off and keep doing what I do.
Well, I agree with you 100%. I can't say that I dislike somebody. I don't know them. I dislike what they're doing, but as people, I can't say I dislike them because they seem like they're all right guys, but they're not in for their hearts. They're in for the clicks, and they're in it to make money. I don't think you're in it to make money, although I'm sure you do make money.
Right.
But hey, everyone needs their supporters to help the channel. And, you've got thousands of dollars worth of equipment that you've invested in. And I'm sure that just your tower alone is probably $3 or $4 grand. So
I invest into everything that I do. If I have it, I'm going to invest into it. If I can give back, I give back. For instance, I donated to Ethan's foundation. I'm looking to donate to more of the victims also. So, and those are things that are important to me that I think this should be followed up on. And, especially when you're doing this, and it's such the high profile case this is, and how many people it brings together on a platform. That's what I'm looking to do, put into the victims' foundations that they have built for them. Allegedly, I heard that Xana had hers taken down or whatever, and I've been talking to Angel Girls on putting that video up of Xana dancing, etc. like that. She has pictures from her from when she was a little girl, and I appreciate her sharing that. T, your future so bright, you gotta wear shades.
and you know what? At one time, I don't know. I'm not on every single show. T-REV. I work during the day most of the time, so hopefully when we do some of this stuff, we can do it like, afternoonish, where I can participate a little bit more if you want me to. Right. But today it's pouring down rain here, so I told my guys to stay home. But the that last one, can you go back? Can you click back to that last snapshot that I sent you?
Yeah.
You just had up.
Yeah. Let me get back to it.
And there's some more. I just want to cover these so everyone can see what was done on this show, because they didn't like the fact that I was questioning their narrative. I was questioning what they were doing and their lack of integrity. It was unbelievable. So I say here, so I expose a liar, and you guys ban me. I'll be exposing this tomorrow with screenshots. Unreal. Now there's more screenshots. There's like maybe 3 more.
Yeah, I got one coming right now that I don't know why.
Again, everyone, this isn't in any particular order. I think it's out of order actually. But the
Yeah.
first one I sent should be coming up here in a second. It's a little bit longer.
Here's one right here. Let's exit this one, right? This is the one. This is another one that you sent me right here. You said Kim is believing her own paranoia. She's been debunked and she
That's
continues
it.
to go on. Whatever shows
Yeah,
will have
blow
her.
that up.
It's irresponsible. You are all being had. Yeah, she loves this. LOL.
So yeah, so so this is on. I guess we can say Truth and Transparency, right? That
Yeah.
chick. Okay, Kim is believing her own paranoia. She's been debunked, and she continues to go on. Whatever shows will have her. It's irresponsible. Absolutely 100% irresponsible for these shows to allow this to continue to hurt the families and throw this crap out there that they're throwing out there. It's wrong. There's plenty that we can talk about, everyone. There is so much. It's like I suggested the other day, we start trying to figure out and get into the mind of the potential the suspect here. He is the suspect, whether people like it or not. He is the main suspect.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you're all being had. And she loves this. Kim absolutely loves this. That's why she's such a troll. That's why she's going to everyone, because everyone is taking her in and listening to her bullshit. And it's unreal. How could you have any ounce of intelligence and listen to this chick and believe what she's saying? Because she's just constructing, and she's good. She's really good. She's like a freaking car salesman, man. She's got a great personality. She's believable, but she's full of shit.
Yeah, I mean it's
and like,
I don't know, man. It's nasty. It's nasty.
Like somebody just said, I was asking important questions, and I was doing it in a laid back way, and I wasn't being and it was kind of, when I went back and listened to it, I'm like, damn, John, you're kind of flirtatious with her, and she's being flirtatious back. But that's how I got her to talk. I played into her, and I let her talk and let her have her diarrhea of the mouth and spew stuff, and then I asked the right questions. And in the very end, are we going to tell them about the show we're going to have?
Yeah, for sure. Tell them. Let them know.
You started talking about it, but yeah, stay tuned, everyone, because T-REV and I are going to get together. We're going to take this email that she sent and that he sent me at her request. She requested that he send it to me, which was a dumb idea. So, and we're gonna break it down. I'm gonna take some time. I'm gonna break it down, and we're gonna destroy this piece of garbage that keeps coming on these shows, spewing these lies. And if anybody has her after we're done with that, if anyone has her on a show again, shame on them. And if anybody that's on this show goes to those shows, if you have any ounce of character and integrity, you would blast them and say, you know what, I'm leaving. I don't want to even listen to this crazy bitch. She's done. So anyway, yeah, there was another one too, but and then the mods on this show started attacking me. And there's nothing that I say in here that was negative toward the show. I'm just saying, look, everybody, and there's people that are on that show, Truth and Transparency, that aren't on this show, may be loyal to her. There was tons of them, I'm sure, but they're listening to this bullshit, and she's entertaining it for clicks, and it's wrong. I mean, I watched the show. I mean, I don't know her, so I can't say whether I dislike her or like her. I get what she's doing. I get why she's doing it. Doesn't make it right. Doesn't make it right at all. And, honestly, I was bored as hell on that show. I don't know how anybody could sit there for freaking 2 or 3 hours and watch her click over freaking, something and question a time frame. She was even talking about the boyfriends again, and why one wouldn't freaking answer the phone. It's because he was asleep. He was drunk. He was probably out. Who cares? We've been past that for fucking 6 months.
Right.
I mean, why are we even talking about that kind of shit? If you don't have any substance, then don't have a show. Honest to God, it's just freaking stupid.
Yeah, but it's wild, man.
you know, here's how I describe these others. I want to describe these other shows. Pull up the definition of maggot.
There you
Seriously,
go.
pull up the definition of maggot.
Well, there it is, right there. I mean, let's jump into it. Dictionary, maggot.
Let me read it.
There it is, right there.
Once a second, you blow it up a little. I'm old.
A soft maggot.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah, let's see. Now go up to the other one. Let's say, isn't there another one there? Yeah, that one's good. A soft-bodied, legless larvae, especially. Let's see. Maggot is a larvae of a fly. Order bacteria is applied in particular to the larvae of whatever that word is, flies such as house flies, cheese flies, and blowflies. Okay, so T-REV, when you take the pup out to take a dump, and you I don't know, I don't clean the dog shit out of my yard. That's fertilizer to me. So
yeah, fertilizer.
If you go out there, hours later, or the next day, or days later, what's flying around that dog shit? Flies.
Maggots and flies.
Fly. Well,
there's maggots climbing through it.
Maggots are what the fly deposits, and they become flies. So what you have here is you got a bunch of fucking shows, and I'm excuse my language, people. You got a bunch of shows that they're the shit. They're the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong analogy. Kim is the shit. Kim is the pile of dog shit in the yard. And all these other freaking shows are the flies. And they're depositing freaking maggots and creating more flies. And that's what we have. We have a bunch of fucking maggots out there destroying freaking people's images, dead people, accusing them of being drug addicts and yada, yada, yada. And it's just freaking obscene to me, bro. Let's have a freaking show and let's talk about true crime. Let's talk about
exactly
why this happened. We got a guy there's a case right now that the man shot his 3 little boys.
Yeah, was following that
in front of their mother and her 16-year-old half sister.
Hunted them down.
One of the boys. We could start. I mean, we're on this. I get it.
Yeah, no, I got other stuff that I'm diving into 100%.
But that guy lost his mind, and I guarantee it's probably stemming around, society today and divorce, and she was probably going to leave him, and he said he planned it. So if that was the case, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. He probably just saw the impending doom of having to pay alimony and child support on 3 little kids for the rest of his freaking, adult life. And he lost it. And, I'm not saying he was right. Not at all. I'm totally, I have 5 kids, and I've never even spanked one of my kids. And that's honest God's truth. I've never spanked my children. Never had to. My kids are all great kids. And it's the way that I handled them. And, my tone of voice can be harsh at times. And that's all I needed to do was my tone. My kids knew.
Now, the thing is, let's jump into a couple here. Let me go to this real quick. Now, Maris said, hey, Detective John, in your experience, is fighting the grand jury indictment for the reasons Ann Taylor stated common? Thanks.
Fighting a grand jury is not common. I mean, you don't, to be totally honest with you, I can't recall ever hearing anyone fighting a grand jury. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but I would say it's highly uncommon. I think that what Ann Taylor is doing is she's doing her job, and she's not dealing with someone that doesn't, I don't want to give him accolades, but he's had quite a bit of education, and he's probably, got access to the law library because they have to provide that, so he can get in there and he can get books and he can get all this stuff. And I'm sure he is a pain in the ass client right now, and they're probably going to wind up hating him if they don't already, just because he's going to be telling them how to do their job. But this is a death penalty case. No matter what people want to think or believe, bottom line is, and if they don't, and I've said it before, if the state does not pursue the death penalty, if this DA doesn't pursue the death penalty, and he's a coward. He's an absolute coward, because if any case needs to have death penalty, it's this one, 100%. So to answer her question, I don't think it's definitely not common, because grand juries, a lot of that stuff is sealed. You don't get to see what the grand jury sees, and they're trying to pick at and trying to get what the grand jury saw as part of discovery, which, there's nothing. That's why it's called discovery, because it's for both sides. I can't drop bombshells on the defense, and the defense can't drop bombshells on me without me having the opportunity to vet that evidence and find experts to contest, that evidence. So,
Right.
That's why it's called discovery. That's the way our system works. And, I don't know what she's trying to do, other than, to be honest with you, delay the process, because I think that date that she set is way too soon. There is no way that she's going to be able to take this to trial. And I think by her saying that she wanted that date, I think she's strangling herself a little bit, and she's regretting that, and she's trying to figure out a way to delay the process.
Now,
And by filing all these motions, that's what she's doing. She's delaying the process.
right.
Because then the prosecution has to respond. They have to provide case law, which they have to have someone look up, find all this case law to respond to it, and debate whether we should have this happen. They're gonna file their response, and they're gonna want the judge to side with them, the prosecution, vice versa. And
Now,
all this takes time, man. It takes so much time.
exactly. Well, another Regina Wright also. There's a lot of questions here so far. Let's see. Regina Wright says, "Do you think the defense is out of line trying to use the Brady law to dock the informants, DNA donors, when they have no rights to the data?" Question mark. Thank you, Regina.
I lost you there for a second.
Again, Regina,
sorry, man.
Regina Wright. If you just came into the stream, make sure that you put your questions on the Q&A for Detective Jonna. Now, Regina Wright said, "Do you think the defense is out of line trying to use the Brady law to dox the informants, DNA, or she has in parentheses DNA donors, when they have no rights to the data?"
Yeah, because that's not because the genealogy DNA, that is not evidence. Though that's a tool used to get to the DNA. So, and this is what people are having a hard time understanding. They think that, okay, all right, so I did the one of those congeniality sites. So basically, what happened is, like I said in the very beginning, when the feds got involved. Remember when I said, you go back to the show, I could say, I'm telling you right now, these other entities aren't hardly doing this shit. The FBI has this case now. This is the FBI's case. They are assisting, so they're not totally taking the case, but the FBI is lead on this. No matter what anybody believes, that's the truth. And if you go back in your show, you'll hear me say that. I'm telling you, the FBI is running this show. So what happened here, I'm going to break it down. So remember when I said garbology would be very pivotal in this case? Way before we even had a suspect, garbology was good. If they did find one, they were going to pull, and they were looking for DNA. Someone's going to pull the trash out to the street.
Right.
The trash is abandoned property at that point, and it's fair game. So the cops can go and they can pull that trash. I've done it many, many times. I've jumped in dumpsters after surveilling somebody to get the bag out, within 30 seconds of them walking in their house. So that's all fair game. You get that, you pull DNA, and you go from there. But that's what happened here, and I believe, if I can kind of speculate, but I believe this is probably what happened. They had the DNA on the sheath. Idaho State Police doesn't have the technology to handle that, so they sent it off to an outside lab, which is that place in Texas. I don't remember the name. Gina probably knows it because she's probably got it in her notes. She's so damn organized. I'm not that organized. But anyway, they sent it there. They did what they could do to try and identify. They knew that it was a male's DNA. So then the FBI went there and took it from them, and then they submitted it to, whatever those things are called, where you send your DNA to track your family tree.
Right.
So I think the FBI did that, and they sent it there, and then they went off the family tree. And they tracked it to Pennsylvania. They found out, that the Kohlbergers live here. They went there, they pulled trash, and then when they pulled that trash, they were able to get the male DNA from that house, which was before Brian was there. It was his dad's house. Before they traveled there, before everything, they pulled that DNA and they found, bam, here's the male's DNA, matches the DNA from the sheath. This guy's DNA is the father of the guy's DNA on this sheath. And then they went from there and they determined that his son was Brian Kohlberger, and that's how the ball began to roll. That's what happened, people.
So, all right. So another one, another question coming in from, it's in the evidence, Donna. She says, to obtain that cheek swab from Kohlberger, what kind of warrant did they need? Why a new DNA test?
Well, once he was in custody, they didn't need a warrant. So I don't know. I haven't read through all this, so I don't know if they got that cheek swab post-arrest or pre-arrest, which we know that couldn't have happened. So it had to be post-arrest.
Yes, they had to get it afterwards.
Yeah. Now, did they probably get a search warrant just to make sure that they're crossing their I's and dotting their I's and crossing their T's? They may have, but he can volunteer that as well, which he probably did. He's probably not going to fight that because he knows inevitably that they'll just get an SW and they'll get it. They'll forcefully get it if they have to. So I'm sure he probably gave them a buccal swab, which is the cheek with the big long Q-tip that you see them use.
The FBI didn't save the information on how they're saying the FBI didn't save the information on how they attained it. Somebody said in the chat, but I don't know how far that goes into. Let's go to the next question.
This is what they're fighting. What the defense wants to do is they want to go through and pick apart. And there's case law. There's tons of cases that will support the prosecution and using this type of DNA to find their suspect. There's tons of them. So they're gonna, I'm sure there's case law that's already been cited and all this from even other states. So they're not going to have a leg to stand on, but again, they're going to try and fight everything, and they're going to demand, because I guess I don't know.
That's a good point. Hold it before you jump into that. That is a good point that Mary had brought up. New documents prove that the DNA never went to Texas. So that's a very good point. I'm glad you made that.
Well, I don't believe that. I think it did actually go to Texas, and from what I read. And I haven't read all of it, but I believe it did go to Texas. Idaho State Police sent it there, and then the FBI went there and retrieved it from them, and then they took the lead on it. So if I remember reading the document right, and I just scanned through it, but you'd have to find it yourself, T-REV. But I believe that's what happened.
Seen that too.
Gina would probably be able to say, "Yep." She could probably tell me what line it was on. But yeah,
let's see. Hold on. Blake. All right. Shout out to Blake. I appreciate the questions, guys. Keep the questions rolling in that you guys have. I'll get through them as fast as I can. Blake. Shout out to Blake. Maris. Also, thank you. I appreciate the question. Donna. Regina Wright. Blake says, is the knife sheath actually being used as evidence, or is the DNA a moot point? Thought I heard sheath not being used against KB.
I don't know how they could. I don't know how they could avoid not using the sheath as evidence.
Right.
The DNA from the sheath is kind of the spark to this fire. So I don't know how they could avoid. They may figure out a way to. I don't know why they would. I don't know why they would want to, try and keep the sheath out. of course, the defense is going to attack everything as far as collection. So basically, all this evidence, all this video footage, everything, all these how many terabytes was it? I forget now.
51
terabytes. I hope everybody understands how much a terabyte is. How many terabytes is a tower on your computer?
Bro, I got 2 terabytes on here. I got a lot of videos and stuff on my computer, and not even most.
You only have 2 terabytes on there, and it was probably $3 or $4 grand, and they got 51 terabytes.
That's a lot.
That's like I don't know how many movies that would be. That would probably be a whole archive of 10 years of movies or something. I'm probably way off, but that's a lot of data. So, I don't even know where I was going with that. I forgot, but we're back to the knife sheath. Oh, okay. Now I know where I was going. So the knife sheath. So
yeah, because Blake asked about, to reiterate on it. Blake said, "Is the knife sheath actually being used as evidence, or is the DNA a moot point?" Thought I heard sheath not being used against Brian Kohlberger. So that's what Blake was getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not real sure why they would even want to exclude that. I mean, it is kind of like the spark for this fire. I don't get it, but here's from a defense standpoint, that's why they have all this video. So they've got all this video. When those officers, initial responders got there, they have body cam. So I just saw, which was kind of new information. They went into detail that the knife sheath was laying face down underneath. Was it Maddie's body and the comforter? So it was kind of wedged in between the body and the comforter. So he probably didn't see it. Kohlberger or who allegedly didn't see it. So he may have very well went back looking for it. We don't know that for sure. We just know that he pinged back there. And so what they're going to want to see, that body cam footage to see if the body cam actually picks up that knife sheath. Because if they don't pick up the knife sheath and that body cam footage, and here's why. Oh, you know what? Something just came to mind. Maybe that's why they were so detailed in this last bit of information, where it was partially under the comforter, under the body, because before we didn't hear that. So
right.
we would expect to see when that officer walked into the bedroom, we would expect to see that knife sheath on the bed, correct? So now they've gone into detail and they've said that knife sheath was concealed. So here you go. They're subliminally sending out to us that, okay, we know that the defense is going to say that the body cam footage didn't pick up that knife sheath. So therefore the body cam footage is showing that was a planted piece of evidence. So now they've gone into detail, and this is me speculating, but now they've gone into detail to explain why the inevitable, which would be that they're going to review that body cam footage and they're not going to see a knife sheath. They're going to say why. So that knife sheath was, and I don't remember, I don't remember who said they saw the knife sheath, but bottom line is when those first responders cleared the scene and the text came in, if that's when they found it because they had to move the bodies, and B, they pulled the comforter back, and maybe they saw it sticking through the comforter up against the body, and it was concealed. So they're addressing that subliminally for all of us, because they know that's going to be a tactic that the defense is going to use. I would use that.
Right.
I mean, look at OJ. The whole case was about, casting doubt and showing everybody that hey, cops are bad, and cops they set OJ up. They planted this glove. They planted this. They planted that, and people bought it because of the times.
That is a good question. Venus said, I have a question. How the heck did it get under Maddie? That's a great question.
Well, you got to figure,
it's a great question.
You have to close your eyes and kind of put yourself there. You got to be the bad guy. I mean, this was an ambush.
That's true.
one of two things could have happened. They could have both been laying in bed, and he could have just pounced on them and started, just flailing, left, right, side, down, up, back, killing both of them at the same time. Or one of them could have been asleep and the other one might have been half asleep and one woke up. So he had to, maybe if that was Kaylee, maybe that was Maddie that he did first, and Kaylee woke up. He really had to attack Kaylee because Kaylee, out of the two, was clearly less intoxicated than Maddie, in my opinion, just based on what I watched. I think that Kaylee was more like the mother hen, and she probably was a little. And that's nothing against Maddie. Maddie was just a little bit more of a partier than Kaylee. I'm just speculating, but that night clearly Maddie was pretty lit.
Right.
Kaylee was.
You could tell, and you could tell in the if you go to the food truck footage, you can kind of see that she was enjoying herself. She was having a good time. She had a nice buzz going.
Right.
And Kaylee seemed a little more. She probably was buzzing, but she seemed to be handling it a little better, in my opinion. But I mean, that doesn't matter. Madison was having a great time. She deserved.
Right. Nothing wrong with that. You're in college.
Nothing wrong with that.
I did it. I mean, it's. It might be a good idea to pull that up, T-REV, and put it up while we're talking, just so people can relate to what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And they can understand that one was pretty inebriated, the other one wasn't. So
now, let's see what Catherine Murphy said. Will the trial go ahead in October? Now that's a great question. Thank you, Catherine, for the question. Detective John, do you think that trial will go ahead in October? Now I think that it might be continued. You know what I mean?
I cannot fathom it actually happening in October. My
question to you is though, like a speedy trial, right? Right. I didn't mean to cut you off, but a speedy trial. How many cases have you seen where there's a quadruple murder and it get pushed forward, or not get pushed forward, but it be exactly in October from the last court date? I mean, that's crazy.
I've never seen it. They had to fly me up to Brooklyn, New York on a quadruple homicide that I caught the people down here on an unrelated case, on a dope case.
Wow.
And that case didn't go to trial for 2.5 years. So, I mean, I can't fathom it being in October. That's like, how many days is that away? Is that like 100 days or something? I'm just going off my head, like maybe 100 days, 90 days.
I mean, we're at like 4 months, a little less than 4 months right now. October 2nd, I believe.
Right. So I just, there's no way. You've got 51 terabytes that you got to go through. You've got, I don't know. I can't believe that she agreed, although it's within the speedy trial criteria, but it doesn't matter. If the defendant wants more time, then he's waiving his right to a speedy trial. So inevitably, if that hasn't already happened, it will happen. So they'll agree to continue this. And I just don't, I think it's kind of like a cocky move, in my opinion, to just try and make the perception be, oh, we're ready because he's innocent. We're ready. We're ready to go in 3-4 months. We'll be ready. But I just can't see that actually happening. If it does, I'm not saying it won't, but I'll be very, very surprised.
Yeah, that's a good point that you made too. And let's see. Hey, John and T-REV, what about the documents? Oh my God, the documents about with this DNA. I'm pretty sure that's what she's talking about. Cindy, shout out to Cindy. She's ex-law enforcement in Idaho. You've been on panel with Cindy before.
Yeah. Cindy's awesome. Yeah. I think the documents, I mean,
this is part of it. Look, you see this right here. Specifically, the STR profile is at least 5.37 octillion times more likely to be seen if defendant is the source than if an unrelated individual randomly selected from the general population is the source.
Octillion. 5.37 octillion. I mean, it's like I said when I went on my rant a few weeks ago. Explain the DNA. There's no way that you can explain that DNA. People can say, oh, well, he pawned the knife and somebody in a pawn shop bought it. Blah, 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 blah. Come on.
It's okay. It's okay, Denise. I know. No, I was just I highlight comments. You know how I am as I go. Approximately. 12,750 movies for 21 terabytes, 250 per 1 terabyte. That is absolutely insane.
Wow,
Oh my
who
God.
just came up with that? Marlena?
Marlena. Shout out to Marlena. Love you, girl. I
Thanks,
ain't seen you in a while.
Marlena. That's freaking. Hey, I wasn't off then. I said, a whole library full of
Dude,
movies.
hey,
That's about right.
Come on now. All right, Detective John, I know I'm speculating at this point, but when you pull up Google Maps, there is so many different places along the route that are the Google image is blocked out. I feel like they obtained camera footage for them locations and blurred those locations out. Now
Well,
I'm speculating, but what do you think? Because if you think about it, investigation tactics 101. Anybody who follows true crime knows that if there's a murder in the area, even within the first 48 hours, they are on foot knocking on doors, seeing if any place has cameras. They're looking for cameras on buildings.
The first thing that they did was they canvassed. In fact, one of the videos you show that officer walking up and down these steps, he's canvassing. I believe it's the building next door that had the ring cam. He's canvassing. They canvassed a perimeter. I don't know how long they went out. They probably canvassed that entire community, because anywhere where there's a road passing, they're going to want camera footage. So this is what people aren't grasping. You've got he drove through a city. When he left his house, he drove through a city. He drove past CVS's, Walgreens, Walmarts. He drove past gas stations. That's why that one camera came from that one view from the beginning came from a camera from a gas station. And that was in the very beginning. And that was probably easily obtained because it's a gas station and they can get in there and look at that DVR and they can pull up stuff real quick. Mm-hmm. Now, when you get into going past a CVS or a Walgreens or a Walmart, there's tons of data that they're going to have to go through. So I guarantee you, once we open this case up and the evidence is, and the suppression hearing and all this stuff is going on, and we see all this evidence, a lot of it's going to be camera footage from businesses where they took the entire DVR for however many days. You wouldn't want to just look at cameras for that night. You would want to look at cameras for, some of these DVRs. Like when I worked for Walgreens, some of that footage is there for 8-9 months. They're huge DVRs. They can hold a lot of data. So they could go back if they found somebody like a Walgreens or a CVS, and they could go back and just spend time watching footage coming from his house, what direction is showing, maybe look at those pings and pull those days up. Okay, we know that he pinged here on these days. So let's look at these. Let's look at the route that he took and what businesses would have him going by. So I'm telling you, when they lay this case out, they're going to paint a picture for us, and it's going to be devastating for the defense, because technology alone is going to prove this case.
That's what I was thinking too. And let's see, Mary Sit's coming through with another question. I'm getting through the questions. The Q&A has got a decent amount of questions on it already. Mary Sit says, is the protocol or common practice the first people allowed in a confirmed crime scene is forensics or lead investigators or what? ? First people allowed into a confirmed crime scene. Who is it? The lead investigators, forensics?
Well, any first responder is going to be into the crime scene. Is she talking about post first responders being there, like your patrol guys going on the call and walking in?
She says, is protocol or common practice the first people allowed in a confirmed crime scene? Is it forensics or lead investigators or what? So I guess she wants to know who would be the first. I don't know if she means after first responders or
lead investigators. Lead investigators will look for the obvious, any evidence. They'll mark it. They'll start snapshotting it, and then crime scene techs typically aren't going to be there right away.
Okay.
So that's when you see the crime scene tape, and they set up a perimeter of crime scene tape where no one can come in, and the officers are investigators, detectives, will have the first responders will be outside the crime scene, and then the specialist, the detectives, will be in there awaiting the crime scene techs. So yes, that's common practice.
Another one coming through Julie W. Thank you guys for the questions. They're wonderful. I appreciate the questions for Detective John. Julie W. says, who does Detective John think is running the defense? Brian Kohlberger or Ann Taylor?
Well, this is what I kind of hit on it earlier.
That's a good question, by the way. Thank you for the question, Julie.
It is, because it's like I said earlier. I said, Ann Taylor's not dealing with just just a normal college student. She's dealing with somebody that's seeking to make his profession, criminal justice. Not being a cop because he can't, but he's studying everything that there is, every curriculum there is to get his MBA and criminology. So in that, he's going to be taking pre-law courses. He's going to take all kinds of courses that are going to make him very versed, and maybe even, and I'm speculating, if he actually thought that he was going to do this and planned on doing this, but he also thought, well, if I get caught, how am I going to fight it? So he may already have a defense for himself prepared, and case law and things like that ready to fight. Because if you're going to commit a crime like this, you got to be able to face the consequences of caught. And if you're if you truly plan it, you'll be prepared for that. Preparation is key.
DM asked a great question. Thank you, DM, for the question. I appreciate it. She says, Detective John, what is the biggest thing that stands out to you and points to a possible motive? Thanks in advance.
I was thinking about this when I was driving to Tennessee. I was trying to, windshield time is the best time to think when you're driving sometimes. And I go back to Kaylee. Kaylee is she's into true crime, right?
Absolutely. She followed Livia.
Okay. So maybe, and this is me speculating, maybe there was a connection with him and her, because remember when he sent out that request to interview people?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a connection there. Maybe he was on other true crime shows, and maybe they hooked up via email or something. Maybe they talked. And if she's infatuated, in fact, she actually was considering becoming an FBI agent at one time.
Right.
I listened to an interview the other day with one of her friends, and she actually said, "Hey, I want to rehearse being an FBI agent." She said, "Kaylee, FBI agent," or something. And they said it was like she was so motivated, and it was believable, and that she could do anything that she wanted to do. And if she's going into the IT field, who's to say she's not going into the IT field, basically surrounding criminology? And we know that BK was very interested in that, and assisting law enforcement in conducting these investigations using technology. So I don't know. Some people think Maddie was the target, and very well could be. Some people think it was Xana because of the restaurant connection. I don't know. We won't know. We may never know who the actual target is or was, but I'm leaning toward perhaps there was some kind of a social media connection between Kaylee and Kohlberger based on their interest, their mutual interest.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was a sleuth. She went on and she loved true crime. And I would suspect, we don't have any proof of that, but I would suspect that he was too. I would suspect that he probably was on these shows, and perhaps even on this very show when we were looking for him.
Now, another question. I think we already answered this, the other Aaron. Thank you for the question, other Aaron. I think that question's been answered, but she said, do you think he's calling the moves on the defense team? And that goes back to, the question that is Ann Taylor or him calling the shots.
Right.
Now, I feel like, of course, Ann Taylor has to push the shot.
Ann Taylor is very bright. She's been doing this a long time, and she's going to have to put him in his place at some point, I'm sure. But I don't think he's sitting back and just letting her do her job. I believe that he's very involved, and he, like I said, if he was truly planning to do this, then he would, if he was smart, he would be prepared to defend himself if caught. And I'm gonna go back and say I don't believe he planned to do it that night. I do believe he was planning on doing this, but I think that something set him off that night and made him do it that night. And it could be the fact that, you know, Kaylee was pretty much already moved out and she was going to be spending time at her parents' house because she's getting ready to go to Texas. So that may very well be what set him off. And Maddie posting what she posted on social media, that this is it, basically. I don't remember the exact verbiage. Somebody might be able to find that. But she alluded to the fact that this was it. This is their last time together as college students, you know, for a party or to be together that night. And, you know, she would be moving on to her career.
Thank you, CKI. Again, all right, so here's another question coming in from Courtney. Shout out to Courtney. I appreciate the questions. The other Aaron, thank you. Everybody else that asked questions, I appreciate you. Keep the questions coming in. If you just came into the live, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe for future shows. They're not only going to be covering the Idaho 4, but we will be seeing this case all the way through the Delphi trial and more. But thank you for the questions. There's a question, there's a Q&A up there for Detective John. If you have questions for him, being he was a detective in his past, he also explained to you guys that he worked the private sector for many years. He's, you know, worked a big case that he has under his belt, which was the Warnos case, which if you followed my channel, you've seen that. So we appreciate the expertise that Detective John brings to the channel and the light that he shines. So everybody, you know, make sure that you show him love for coming up on here, because he doesn't have to. And I appreciate him when he does come up here. He enlightens us and he gives us his opinions. And sometimes we may not all agree with it, but we do need to respect the fact that we're getting a look from a detective standpoint, and that's what we are in true crime for. We want to understand not only the investigative process, but we want to know what's in the mind of a killer. Why is somebody doing stuff like this, right? So Courtney asked if he has exculpatory evidence, Detective John. What do you think it would be, Detective John? I don't believe he does. Just thought about it since the beginning.
Courtney. Well, again, the word exculpatory, and I even had you pull up the definition of it if you want to pull it up again.
Yeah, we can. I'll pull it up right now.
Pull it up again, and then I'll go from there. That word is, you know, basically evidence when it comes to the defense is potentially all exculpatory. They blow that word up like it's, you know, everything's exculpatory. Everything's potentially going to get my defendant off. So I think it's a misused word. So and it's basically, you know, again, I'm going to use the word ignorant. That doesn't mean anybody's stupid. So don't look up the term ignorant if you're offended by me using that word. All that means is you're not versed on the topic or the subject or what have you. It does not mean you're stupid.
Right.
You know, okay, so exculpatory evidence, on the other hand, supports the defendant's innocence. It can include proof of an alibi, an eyewitness statement, video footage, audio recordings, or any other physical evidence that shows doubt that the person in question has committed the crime. So, basically just what I said. It's exculpatory. It's important to the defense. So everything is exculpatory, but people, when they hear that word, they think that automatically means that, okay, the evidence that we want, that the prosecution is holding back on, is going to exonerate our client. Well, it's like I said before, a motion would be filed very quickly if there was truly exculpatory evidence, and a judge is going to actually hear it or see it before the motion's, you know, even accepted. He's going to hear about it, and he's going to read it, and he's going to decide whether that evidence that the defense is purporting to be exculpatory is actually exculpatory. And it's up to the judge to determine whether it's exculpatory or not. And that hasn't happened. So that's telling me that there is no exculpatory evidence truly. That's just the defense blowing steam.
Okay. So that, I mean, there you go.
And to answer her question, what would be exculpatory? Okay.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point.
Let's say one of those surviving victims, I saw his face, and now that they know what he looks like, said that that's not him. Okay. And let me touch on that a little bit. Somebody said the other day that
thank you, Angel.
That they thought that they showed one of the witnesses his Kohlberger's ID. No, highly illegal. Can't do that. You have to do what's called a 6-pack, and a 6-pack is a photo lineup. So
thank you, Lollipop.
No police officer or investigator would take a picture of Kohlberger and say, "Hey, is this the guy?" That's not how it works. That would be exculpatory. If she's saying, "Yeah, that's him," because they showed me his ID, that would be bad. So what we have is called a 6-pack. So let's say, there's reports that she saw his eyes through the mask and he had bushy eyebrows. So we could potentially take 5 other people that resemble that, put them into these little squares on basically just imagine a file folder, a physical folder with squares cut out of it. Okay. So you take those pictures and you put them behind each photo, like the Hollywood squares, and you have 6 of them. And let's say we photoshopped in a mask over all 6 of those faces, only showing the eyes. Okay. So they could actually do a photo lineup, and she could point out, that's him. I can tell by his eyes. Now, does that happen often? No, but that's all we got. If his face was totally obscured with a mask other than his eyes, then all we have is his eyes. So they can actually do a photo lineup. And again, you can't put next to Kohlberger's picture, you can't put a black guy. You have to put a guy with the same skin tone, similar type eyes. You can't be a guy with pin-shaped freaking eyebrows and a guy with little square eyebrow, and then Kohlberger, who's got bushy eyebrows. They're going to all have to be bushy eyebrow looking, photos. If they did that, I don't know if they did that.
Yeah, okay, hold on. Let me get to this other one. I see Willot Harris. Hopefully I'm saying your name right, buddy. Detective John, you seem like a Mont Black kind of guy. What type of cologne do you wear? I'm dead. Man, Willot coming through with the what kind of cologne do you wear?
I'm still stuck in the Jakar and Polo days. I'm old school.
My man is. And then Sin K says, Detective John, do you think BK had been in that house before, and that's how he knew which bedrooms to go to?
I think he's probably been there before. Now, I did hear testimony from, wasn't testimony, but they were interviewing friends, and they said that everyone that was in that house was not a stranger. So according to this girl, she said that, they were either friends of Xana, Kaylee, Maddie, or, Xana or whoever. They were all friends of people in that house. Now, she even said that, there was strangers didn't walk in there. Well, I'd beg to differ. It's a frat house. People bring friends. There's all kinds of, he could have just walked in there. I believe that he knew the layout, and it wouldn't be hard. You just have to get on Zillow, and you could look at the layout of the house on Zillow. I mean, it's not there anymore, but it was on there. You could pull up your address now, T-REV, and if you've ever been on the market, the realtors posted pictures of your house. You'll know the layout. It's not real hard to figure that out.
Okay, let me see. Hold on. Country Diva comes through with, who do you think said I am here to help you or here to help? Now, I mean, what's your opinion on
Well,
that?
if that was actually what was said, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, she may have been something else being said. I mean, I'm not saying that wasn't said. It could very well be something that he said. And around the time that someone said someone's here, I would like to know what time that was, as opposed to the DoorDash guy knocking on the door. So, I mean, it's DoorDash guy, and they know that Xana routinely ordered food at 3-4 in the morning. That was kind of her gig, and that's what one of her friends said in the interview that I heard, that she was crazy. She did that all the time. And if somebody's banging on the door at freaking 4 o'clock in the morning, someone would say someone's here, right? So I don't know if that was around that time, which it was around that time, or if the girls actually heard someone was there inside. And if he said, "That's okay, I'm here to help you," hey, that's very viable that he could say that. He could try to calm them down and keep them from screaming. And there's testimony that that they heard whimpering. So if you've got a 9-inch K-bar knife and you're holding it up to someone's throat, telling them to shut up or you're going to kill them, whether you're there to commit a rape or whatever you're there to do, you're going to hear whimpering. And again, we're all speculating as to how this happened and what happened exactly, but you just have to close your eyes and kind of put yourself there and run scenarios through your mind. We may never know exactly what happened. Again, these two surviving witnesses, so far we don't know what they've said. They may have very telling evidence. They may know a lot more than we know. But again, we don't know shit.
Exactly.
We
And
don't
there's a
know
lot.
anything. It's like when people say, "Well, how could he get out and not have blood on him?" How do you know that he didn't have blood on him? How do you know that
Mm-hmm.
he did? How do you know that he didn't track footprints outside of that house? You saw him outside of the house taking photos and doing, on their hands and knees looking at footprints, what appeared to be footprints. How does anyone know that didn't happen?
I mean,
I mean,
everything's
that's what
I
that's
mean,
what aggravates
there's,
me.
there's a lot of documents that are, it's under the gag order. So
Right. So, that's why we're here. We're trying to figure it out. And, it's going to be interesting to see who was right in their analogies here. I've changed my thought process numerous times.
yeah, me too.
So,
Absolutely.
I believe that he came in the sliders. And again, we're going to Danny Rawling. That's why this is so similar to Danny Rawling, because that's how he entered at the University of Florida. And those houses, he went in through the sliders almost every time. He used a K-bar knife. He, and for those that don't believe that one person can kill 4 people, um, well, there's a prime example right there. This guy killed 5 at the University of Florida, and,
Oh,
and one of them, and
did
one
you
of
know?
them was a
Did you hear
male
about the?
boyfriend.
Did you hear about the other quadruple homicide that just happened in Idaho in Kellogg?
Was that a shooting?
I forget exactly the full details on it, but I have just seen it. I was looking at it yesterday.
I don't know. What are they feeding people in Idaho? Because
I mean, it was another quadruple, and then hold on, let's see. Brooke Nicole says, "Do you think the prosecution is waiting to announce that they're seeking the death penalty until after July 1st because the firing squad goes into effect on July 1st? Do you think they'll find, or do you think they'll seek the death penalty?" Detective John.
I 100% hope and believe that this DA will seek the death penalty, but everyone says that he's here's the thing. People are saying that he's anti-death penalty. How do you know that? I mean, you're talking about Idaho. How many death penalty cases do you think this guy's actually even had, to make that assumption? So
That's
we
a
don't know that. And people are saying, well, he's going to retire, so he doesn't care anyway. Well, public opinion is certainly going to weigh on his decision here, because he's going to be getting some heat to impose the death penalty. If any case that I've ever seen warrants the death penalty, it would be this case. Now, again, whether he gets the death penalty imposed for all 4 victims, it doesn't really matter. He only needs one. But his defense is going to try and say that, the other 3, he was there only for 1, and the other 3 were collateral damage. He didn't go there to kill those, which I believe. I don't believe he went there to kill 4 people. I believe he went there to possibly kill 2, and maybe it was both of the girls together.
Now, another question coming through. Let's see. We have Walat Harris, and shout out to Brooke for that question. He says, Detective John, as former law enforcement, would you have rather saved money and resources by apprehending Brian in Washington versus the rigmarole of apprehension and extradition from Pennsylvania?
The whole money resources thing, it's all bullshit to me. You know why? Because those people get paid anyway. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, and they talk about budgets and they talk about, the resources that went into it, those people are getting paid anyway. So in the grand scheme of things, did it really cost that much money? Or would they've still gotten paid the same amount of money? Yeah, I mean, you've got some logistics involved, travel, things like that. But come on, I don't believe in that kind of shit. I don't believe that money and that stuff really has much to do with it. Now, if it's a case that's been going on for 10 or 15 years and they keep dumping money into it and they can't get anywhere, then I could see them, because they're pulling from limited resources that they could be using elsewhere. But this is a fresh case. This is a highly high profile case, and they're going to use every resource that they can use. The FBI is federally funded. I mean, they've got unlimited resources. So really, no, I don't think that weighs in on anything. I don't think it matters at all where they arrested him or if they had to extradite him or the cost involved in that. Actually, the governor of Idaho donated $1 million right off the bat, if I remember right. Am I right in that, T-REV? Wasn't it $1 million that he donated toward the investigation alone that he allocated?
Now, that part I must have missed.
Look that up if you could. Governor of Idaho.
Hit that question on the screen too while I'm looking at it. Let me look though. I don't remember seeing that. I must have been so locked into the case.
I think, Amy, were you the one that was wanting me to answer this question the other day? I didn't see it till I watched the show later. Was there more than one weapon used possibly? Why does the coroner describe the wounds differently? And do you think the golf club was involved? Okay. I'm glad you asked that because I actually have been thinking about this a little bit. The golf clubs. So let's say, for instance, and I'm speculating, I'm a golfer. So that wasn't his house. So he came to his girlfriend's maybe after golfing for the day. And, he brought his golf clubs in, which I don't know why he would do that. I would leave them in my SUV. I think that red Jeep was his. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably leave my golf clubs in there. Maybe he was bringing them in there to reorganize them and clean them up. Who knows? I don't know. But what are you going to grab? If you don't have any weapons and you got a guy wielding a 9-inch K-bar knife and you got a golf club right there, that'd probably be the first thing I would grab. And those bar stools too, if it escalated up into the kitchen area, which was right by the bedroom, I'd be throwing bar stools around. That's why I believe those bar stools were laying on the ground, on the floor for a reason. I don't think they were placed there. I think that they were used and maybe knocked down, and they were maybe placed there because they were processing them for latent prints. I have no idea. And what was the other? Oh, 2 weapons.
Yeah, that's
no. I believe the only weapon was the K-bar knife. Now, the sheath. If anyone knows anything about battling with an edged weapon, even a samurai sword, when they remove the samurai sword from the sheath, that sheath can also be used as a second weapon. You can smack somebody in the leg, make them flinch, and go after the open area that they flinched away from. So it's kind of like a jab. You fake a jab to the midsection and you come over the top with an overhand right because that person is flinching to go down to protect his ribs. Same thing. If he actually was into martial arts and boxing, like people said, he may have rehearsed this type of stuff many times in front of a mirror. He may have been prepared and wielding that knife in one hand and the sheath in the other. The sheath can be used as a weapon as well. It can actually be, he could hold that sheath in his hand and he could use it to, work on his solidifying his fist. You have to have something inside your hand to make your fist even stronger, but you could use that sheath for many reasons. Or he could have just simply been keeping the sheath in the door panel of his car and grabbed it out when he came out, and he just didn't put it on a belt. That's why I think that's one of the reasons why I think he wasn't planning on doing it that night.
Do you think he was a door? We got to put this to rest now. Right?
No, he was not the door.
Because it's being talked about, man. I don't know if it's just created out there just for something to talk about or what, but I mean, do you think he was a DoorDash driver? I heard you just say you didn't.
No. I'm not saying 100% he wasn't, but I thought that was already debunked. I thought they already found the guy that was a DoorDash guy, and he actually was caught, not delivering food and eating food at times, and they fired him. Was that not true?
Yeah, I have not. That's the first time I heard it. Just
somebody went by the Jack in the Box and determined who it was.
You must be watching them tinfoil channels, man, because I have never heard that one.
No, it was they went to the Jack in the Box. No, it wasn't a tinfoil. It was on one of the news carriers, and they went in and interviewed somebody, and the
I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
That's new.
Yep.
That's new to me.
They actually even showed the driver.
Okay. Well, damn. That's crazy. I didn't see that. I definitely need to see that. Now, let's see. I guess
thought it was on a news network, but I'm not sure. It's been several weeks ago now. So no.
Eon. I think it says Eon, but anyway, I'll ask it. Can a legal technicality cause a case to be thrown out, DNA and all?
Yes, and
I think that's a self-explanatory question. I mean, of course.
Yes and no, because it's called the preponderance of the evidence for a reason. So the preponderance of the evidence is what's going to get him here. Even if a technicality got a piece of evidence thrown out, there's still plenty of other evidence, although it may be circumstantial, but you can convict on circumstantial evidence.
Who the hell is that? Don't know yet. Let me see. Next question. Tammy Fletcher, Detective John, what would they have to do to stop the tearing down of the house?
Well, I mean, if everything's right that I've seen and heard, did the owner donate the house to the university? Was that confirmed?
Yes, that's
okay.
confirmed.
So that was basically a write-off for him. So he wrote that house off. So it really didn't cost him anything in the grand scheme of things. So what would it take for him to not tear it down?
Right.
I think right now a judge has put an injunction on that process, a stop order on that process. But after this case is over, it would be an act of God not to tear it down. I can't see him leaving it up. That's a pretty bad memory to have, and a sore thumb sticking out for the university. I'm sure they would turn it into some kind of a memorial, plot, or
for sure.
maybe a park, because that kind of sits in a cool area where you kind of can look out. It's kind of up on a hillside. So, I mean, I don't see them not tearing it down, but I've been surprised before. So
stop doing
I think for now that they're not tearing it down, because even though they have 3D video footage of that house, there's nothing more compelling than to have jurors walk through the actual crime scene. And to walk to, if he was in fact, like I suspected from the very beginning, in that lot behind the house, surveilling them for a time, and that back Kaylee's window didn't even have the blinds drawn on them. So that slider she had was a perfect eye level view for somebody sitting on that back parking lot where that house was.
Mm-hmm.
And you could look right into her bedroom window. So I believe 100% that he was back there surveilling. People would say stalking, but again, you're not really stalking until that person knows they're being stalked. So that's another word that's misused. He was surveilling them, casing them out. But, stalking is when you're being stalked. That's why that term is there. You're being stalked. That's hence the law, the stalking law.
Another question, High Priestess Campaign says, so how are they going to be able to use the sheath but not genealogy? I know they said that what they are doing, but I need a deeper how. I need more.
Well, the sheath is gonna help determine what the weapon was, right? So it's a Marine Corps K-bar knife. I think it actually says on it United States Marine Corps, USMC. So, and to bounce back on the lady that asked about the different wounds that the coroner said, yeah, there's going to be different wounds. I mean, one weapon can create several different wounds. You have angles, you have velocity, you have all kinds of things that every time he plunged that knife, I don't mean to be morbid, but every time he plunged that knife into the body, he created a wound, and then the one next to it's not going to be the same exact style wound. If he did it right and he twisted when he plunged it in, he created even more damage when he twisted a knife and he removed it from the flesh. It's designed, that knife is designed to promote the most damage that can be done. I mean, so it's designed to go in there and twist and destroy tissue and incapacitate and kill. That's why it was designed. That's why it's, the edge is the way it is. That's why the angle of the blade is the way it is. That's why there's a guard on the handle, so that, when you plunge it in, your hand doesn't slide off the handle and go down the blade and slice your hand up. It's a military hunting weapon. So the sheath, you couldn't exclude the sheath. Even if you wanted to exclude the sheath, you couldn't really exclude the sheath, because it basically tells you what the weapon was. So I don't see that happening. I don't believe in what I hear a lot of times about them not using the DNA on the sheath. I find that hard to believe. There would be no reason not to. The only thing that they may not use is the genealogy, because they don't need the genealogy now. They've already determined the genealogy just helped them find who it was. So once they got the DNA off the sheath, okay, then they could determine based on the trash pull, the garbology, that the dad was the dad and he's their only son. Bam, that's it. Quintillion, octillion times more likely. I mean, it's just, I don't see that happening, but the prosecution may be conceding we don't need to use it, just to speed up the process of having days upon days of the defense fighting to try to exclude it, try to get it suppressed as evidence, because
Right.
they know that that's going to be the main focal point of the defense, is that knife sheath. And if the prosecution has determined that they really don't need the knife sheath, then okay, screw it. We won't use the knife sheath, because we think it's a moot point. We've
Now,
got all this other evidence. We don't need it.
there's tons of questions coming in. Thank you, everybody, for putting on the Q&A and asking the questions that you guys have on your mind.
I'm here. I don't, like I said, I'm yours.
Another one from Harris, Harris. He said, "Do you think Brian could have gotten a fair trial elsewhere? How could his defense not ask for a change of venue? Also, how stinky is?" I'm not asking that question, but yeah, a change of venue. I almost asked it, but I wasn't. That's a little bit out of pocket, but I ain't even gonna say that.
Somebody trying to be funny or somebody being a smart ass?
Yeah, I mean he's a funny guy. I won't ask that last bit because it's a little
Which guy was this?
Walat Harris.
Oh, okay.
Walat Harris, but the last part was funny, but I just don't think I would have said.
Yeah, that arm, my armpit on that picture was probably pretty stinky because. No, I wasn't. I was clean. I was getting ready.
It wasn't. He wasn't talking
dancing.
It was a Kim question, but we'll leave that out.
Oh yeah, okay.
It was a little dirty, you know.
Yeah, we won't go there.
But he said, "Do you think Brian do you think Brian would have Do you think that he would get a fair trial elsewhere? And how could his defense not ask for a change of venue?"
Well, here's the thought process I have behind that. And in the beginning, I said that there's no way that they're going to be able to have this trial in that very county. I just, how's this guy how are you gonna get a jury pool to not know about this case? Well, in reality, you don't have to have a jury pool that doesn't completely know about the case or they're oblivious. Ideally, you would want that. But you would just have to interview, and this is going to be epic, everyone. The jury selection in this is going to take that alone. This is why I don't believe it's going to go in October. That alone, that process alone, the jury selection could take months, because the defense is going to want a certain type of juror. They're going to want somebody that's anti-death penalty for one, and the prosecution is going to want a certain kind of juror, and they gotta come to terms on who gets what, and one's going to have to concede, all right, if I get juror number 7, you can have juror number 6, and it's a brutal process, and you're going to have people come in there and they're going to ask questions, that are germane to this case and how would you feel about, if your daughter was, or you knew somebody in this case that was murdered, so it's a brutal process. And I'm telling you right now, that process alone is going to take a long time. And I'm not sure that I can't believe that any attorney, I think that her move, agreeing to do it this quick was within, because the reason why she did that is because that's just barely within his right to a speedy trial. Mm-hmm. So by doing that, she has not given his right up to a speedy trial. And this is again me speculating here, but I am pretty experienced. I believe that, and I did take some pre-law stuff. So if people think that I was just a cop and I'd always wanted to be just a cop, that's another thing they don't know about. So my ambition was to actually be an attorney. Things just didn't work out that way. I got married young. I had kids young. I had to jump into a career quickly. But anyway, so the I lost my train of thought because I got off on my own. The venue. So that process for her to actually say, okay, we want on this much. And if you listen to her, she said, just within my client's right to a speedy trial or something to that effect. Do you remember her saying that?
Yes.
Okay. So she did that tactfully. And because that date is just right within a week, I think probably of his right to a speedy trial. Mm-hmm. Whatever that time frame is in Idaho. I don't know what it is in Idaho. But so she did that just to set a date. But I would I wouldn't even roll the dice. I'd bet everything I have that it's not going to go on that date. And I could still be wrong. But I think that that's why she did that, was just to maintain his right, so that if the evidence yields that he's a done deal and there's no sense in even pushing this, let's go ahead and get this over and be done with it. And she's keeping in her mind that she can convince him to do that, based on the the overwhelming evidence that she didn't know whether they had or not at that time, that leaves the door open for a speedy trial. So, and the potential that he could just go in and try and plea. Now, let's keep in mind, people keep saying, do you think he'll plea? Well, he can plea all as he wants, but bottom line is the state has to accept that plea. So if he pleads guilty, okay, plead guilty. We're still going to present our case because we're going after the death penalty, because we believe that 100% will get it. So why would we give up the death penalty when you deserve it? And public opinion is that you need to be put to death for these heinous crimes. So a lot of people think that, and again, that's ignorance, because they don't really understand. They think if somebody goes in and says they can automatically just strike a deal. Okay, I'll plead guilty if you don't seek the death penalty. Well, the prosecution can say, well, you can plead guilty all you want, but we're going after death penalty because this is a death penalty case, and this is probably one of the most heinous acts ever committed in Idaho. And plea all you want, but he's got nothing to lose by fighting it. So
and here's another one from Abracadabra. Shout out to Abracadabra.
Oh, hold on a second. I didn't answer that guy's question about venue. Let me answer.
Yeah. That. Oh, yeah. About the venue change.
The change.
There's
of
a lot
venue.
of questions. There's a lot of questions coming in. I know people want to.
And I'm sorry if I only tag on part of the questions, but I try to answer as best I can. But the venue, I've always thought that there would be a change of venue, but now knowing what I know about the actual state of Idaho, it's not really a highly populated state anyway. So, I mean, you're talking about cost again. There's a huge cost associated with that, and I don't think, here in Florida, there's no question. If this occurred in Volusia County, Florida, it wouldn't be here. It would be down in Miami, or they would try to select a liberal portion of the state, which is we brought that up before. Remember when we talked about that? Okay, that county that you're in right now is pretty, because it's most college towns are liberal, believe it or not. But if you go to the surrounding, if you pull up that map of Idaho, most of it, not 95% of it, is red.
Right.
The denser, highly populated college towns are reddish blue. So they would try to move that to probably Boise or somewhere like that, which is a more liberal, area of the state, and they would want more liberal jurors to be part of that jury pool. But if you're in a rural area, with lack of a better term, a bunch of, gun-toting, hunting rednecks that are going to want this guy's head on a stick, then yeah, you'd want to move out of that venue. So I don't have an answer to that question. I'm surprised. I would be surprised in my state if it wasn't moved, but in Idaho, I don't think it's really. I think they're in a blue area now, and they may not get their wish to go to a place like Boise.
I mean, okay, so all right, so you said possibly Boise. Now, Abracadabra says, what do you make of the timing of the DoorDash order plus delivery being at same time as murders? Pure coincidence or tied to killer part of his master plan, or to create a diversion or red herring? Now, I just don't. He wouldn't know when there was going to be a DoorDash order, correct?
Well,
that's my assumption.
Well, now that is that a girl or a guy? I don't know who was.
I'm not sure if Abracadabra is a girl or a guy.
All right. Well, that's a good point. And in the interview that I heard, I forget who was putting it on, but was with their friends. They specifically talked about, and I talked about this earlier, Xana it was very common for her to order DoorDash at all hours of the early morning and night. She commonly would just wake up and order a DoorDash at 3 or 4 in the morning. So that was not uncommon. Now, if that was a common occurrence on a Saturday or Friday night, and he was actually surveilling them, then yeah, the red herring is already there. He doesn't even need to create it. It's there. So if he knows that she has a pattern of getting DoorDash at 4 o'clock in the morning on a Friday or Saturday night because he's surveilled them, then he's created that red herring. So yeah, but we don't. Again, we don't know what went into this guy. I think he's very meticulous. I think he's, like I said, people may misunderstand me. I do believe that he planned this. I just am not sold on the fact that he made the decision to do that night. That night is when he did it. He made the decision that night. I don't think it was something that he planned to do that night. I think that something set him off and he had to act just because of time. Because he made way too many mistakes to be as meticulous as he is and to know what he knows. He made way too many mistakes. I would do dry. If I was going to commit a crime like this, I would do dry run upon dry run upon dry run. I would turn my phone off. I would keep it off. I would know how pings work, which he probably knows, but maybe he doesn't know as much as we think he knows. Maybe he was ignorant when it came to some stuff and he made mistakes. Very well could have happened. But I think that if he's as anal and meticulous as I believe him to be, I believe that if he had taken more time, he would have got away with this crime.
Now, let's see here. We got more coming. I mean, we got a lot of questions. Ooh. All right. So first, I want to touch up on Angel Girls 1980, mother figure in Xana's life. Thank you for being here with us. I do want to say we appreciate you being here with us. I love you for being here with us, and I appreciate you. And she has a question for you, Detective John.
And you know what, Angel Girl 1980, we need you. We need you. This show needs you because no other show is doing what this show is doing. We're actually, and you watch, they're starting to try and copy you, T-REV already. They're backing off. They're backing off of their garbage, and they see that what they're doing is wrong. And Angel Girl, don't go anywhere else because this show embraced you, and we want you. And this is the type of stuff I would like to see. So if she's doing a video and or some photos,
we converse through emails constantly.
Yep,
so,
I remember you saying that. So
I talk to her very often, and she's very forthcoming, and she shows a lot. She sent me tons of pictures of Xana through her, growing up, and pictures I haven't seen on the internet. And she also has this question for you that says, Detective John, can I still talk safely and share? I don't want anyone coming to my door for defending or sharing info. Where is the line? I don't want to cross it. Now, if you could give her any type of advice on that, and because she just wants to be careful, and I respect that.
Well, I mean, anybody can find out anything. It's like Kim spurted out her daughter's name. Now, what was her daughter's name? I'm not going to say it, but it's a very unique name. And I had no idea what Kim's name was. But guess what? I got on Facebook and I put in WSU and I put her daughter's name, which is a very unique name, and I found her. Bam, just like that. So you just, based on what you've given us thus far, I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that may know who you are. But really, in the grand scheme of things, I don't think anybody's going to come harass you or anything unless it's going to be another show production trying to get you to come on their show, or maybe even a mainstream media outlet trying to get you to come to them and pay you money or something to do it. But I wouldn't worry about anyone coming, and harassing you in a negative way. I think what you've done so far is pretty discreet. I mean, those videos were older, but anybody that knows you and maybe knew your daughter and might be on one of these shows could point you out in a heartbeat based on what you've given thus far. But I wouldn't worry about that. You're providing a service, a very positive service, as far as I'm concerned. So I don't think anybody would harass you in a negative way.
Right.
Does that answer the question? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you covered it.
I wouldn't worry. Bottom line is, Angel Girl, I wouldn't worry about it. because you're not doing anything negative. You're wanting people to see what these girls were like, and in particular one that you have personal knowledge about and you spent a lot of time with. And that was probably, out of all these shows, the most touching show that T-REV's ever had, as far as I know. I mean, I was in tears. I was blubbering. I was, it was just because someone, although, we talk about, Xana's mom in a negative light. I'm sure she loved her. She had a drug problem, whatever. But someone loved her because someone put a lot of time and effort into making sure that young lady had a, opportunity to be in gymnastics. And I know, because my daughter was in gymnastics, and I know what it takes. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of money, and a lot of time. So someone loved her, and it was a great tribute.
Right. And hold on, here's another question. Brooke Nicole says, do you think the DNA on the sheath is the only DNA the state has, or do you think there will be more DNA evidence presented during the trial, assuming there is one?
Well, I think there's going to be DNA in the car. And from the beginning, what did I say, T-REV? That car was going to be his downfall. That car, they will find the car, and people keep hitting on this, and I've covered this. Remember in the very beginning, I said they have software. So when even though that's a granular photo of a snapshot from a DVR that we saw, that is not what the police had. The police had a much better photo. So remember that picture that we all saw of that car came from an employee who took a snapshot of the DVR screen with her phone. Because you could clearly see the whole screen. Now, the way that law enforcement would do it is they would actually burn from the actual footage, so they would have a much better photo, and their software would highlight that photo better. Now, the car is a body line car, so it's just like a 911 Porsche. They change, but they really, for the most part, except for the past maybe 10 years, a 911 looked like a 911 no matter what. The only way you could tell the difference was the tail lenses and the headlights a little bit, or running lights or wheels, things like that. But to say that law enforcement made a mistake by putting 11 to 13, yeah, maybe. But if they had actually thought about it, the body lines for that car were the same through 15 or 18 or whatever. I'm sure if you pulled up a 2022 Elantra, it's probably not going to be too much different than a 2015.
No. Okay, so the next question was Regina Wright again.
But wait a second, I didn't answer that question. I'm sorry, I got off on the car. But yeah,
there's tons of them, so we got to.
There's more. Do I think that there's more DNA evidence? Absolutely, 100,000% believe there's 100,000 pieces of evidence that probably have DNA on them. And his car is going to be a plethora, a cesspool of DNA. Mm-hmm. Unless he tried to take precautions, which he may have taken that shower curtain and thrown it across the interior of his car and sat on the shower curtain, or he may not have had a shower curtain at all. I mean, who knows? But anyway, go ahead.
Now it says right here, a question from Connie. What is it? Connie, I don't want to say her name wrong. Connie Manriquez. Hopefully I said that right. I might have said it wrong. And if I said it wrong, I apologize. Why do you think no other friends, students, or neighbors are talking?
That's a great question.
Yes.
That's a great question. And that's why Kim is so full of shit. Because why does Kim, coming forward with all this stuff and citing all this stuff that all these people are saying and telling her, what are they entrusting Kim to disseminate all this information when there's reporters out there trying to interview people? That place is probably still a cesspool of reporters looking for someone just to talk to. And you don't see any of that. Those people aren't on a gag order. Mm-hmm. So why are we not seeing that? You know, that's why she's so full of shit, because she constructed all this stuff in her mind because she's a paranoid nutbag. And, you know, rightfully so. Your daughter, your son, or whoever is going to WSU, and this guy, the potential, the obvious suspect, worked there, and, you know, he did these heinous crimes, and you got to send your daughter to that school or your son to that school. She's probably just wound up in it and couldn't sleep worrying about it. That's not uncommon, but she took it to a different level.
All right, so let me see. With Regina there, I think we answered. We read that one. Let's see. Sue Bishop. Thank you for the question. Sue Bishop says, Detective John, what do you feel is the reason that the 911 call has not been released yet?
That's another good question, because I hit on that before. There must be something in that call that they want to hold on to, because typically one of the first things to be released would be the 911 call. Now, I'm sure there's more than one 911 call. There's probably multiple calls. But, you know, my theory is that you know, that Hunter was, you know, I don't get out of my bed. My phone rings before I get up, or I got a text before I even get out of bed. And that's how these kids are as well. So the whole thing about her not coming out and dialing 911 and walking through and cleaning up a crime scene is all bullshit, because I believe that she was probably on the phone with someone, and it might have been Hunter. And when she walked out of that room, she walked into the crime scene. Then she screamed on the phone to whoever she was on the phone with, who made the 911 call. And then he ran over there, accordingly, correct? If I remember right. So I don't know. I don't know why they haven't released it. I mean, unless it just they're worried about the jury pool hearing it and it being sensationalized.
Yeah, but what if it also holds horrific details in it from the person who called? Oh, I walked in and seen this, that, and the third, and there's details in there that they just can't release the phone call. I mean, is that a possibility?
That is a possibility. Yeah,
okay.
100%. That's a possibility. You know,
I walked in and I seen this, that. You know what I'm saying? If they say that, then they're saying specific details about what they seen, which they would be questioned about at, you know, down at the station, obviously, and it'd be taken down as a statement.
Right, and that sensationalizes the event, and that's the type of things that you don't want a jury pool to hear. You know, so they may be holding that as part of, you know, when this trial happens, and it will. These jurors will see everything, people.
Right.
We're not going to see it, but they will see everything. They will see all the video. They will see all the photos. They'll see everything. It's going to be very gory.
I see a question we need to. I see one we need to address real quick. Jeff H., a great point. Thank you for bringing it up. He said, did law enforcement initially not correct themselves on the 2011 to 2013 to put Brian at ease if he heard news reports, all the while still getting tips from the public? What do we know about the year of the Elantras?
Yeah, Jeff, I think we talked about that before too, because it could have been a ruse. It could have been, okay, I'm in the clear because mine's a 2015, and anybody that comes up to him saying, hey, you got an Elantra, well, mine's a 15, they're looking for 11 to 13, and people are, oh, okay, it mustn't be you then. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. It could have been a ruse out there. I believe they had that car pretty quick, though. I believe they because there's a couple things about that car, and a lot of people forget. The video shows that it doesn't have a front license plate. Well, in Idaho, you have to have a front license plate. It's against the law. So guess what? He's from Pennsylvania. He had Pennsylvania tags on it, and even in his traffic stop, he indicates that, in Pennsylvania, we don't have to have a tag on the front, which is true. But once you've established residence somewhere within 30 days, you have to get your tag changed and abide by the laws within that state. So he had now, whether he was intending on doing that or he did that conveniently right after these murders, which he did, he went and became compliant, correct? So we know that he got Pennsylvania tags removed and he put Idaho tags on it. So even on the traffic stop in Indiana, I mean, you can see it's an Idaho tag, but clearly he had Pennsylvania tags on it before, which didn't have a front tag because there's no requirement in Pennsylvania to have a front tag. But now he has a front tag.
Now let's hit on this
That
one.
could have been all part of his plan. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he went and switched them, so
Right.
I guess, and that would possibly be to fit in, and so they wouldn't look at him as a suspect, which would be part of what they use at trial, in my opinion. Am I wrong?
Right. No, you're right.
He switched it to fit in because they knew the front was missing.
Right.
Now,
well,
I mean, that would further fit their story.
Yeah, that's what they were looking for, right? They were looking for a white Elantra with no front tag.
Correct.
So what does he do? He becomes compliant, which, I mean, the defense will argue all day long that was just because he had to. He knew he had to, so he did it. There's no correlation there. I believe there's a correlation. I believe he did it because he wanted to take the heat off of himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even believe that trip to back home for Christmas was a planned trip. I think that probably was not a planned trip. I think it was planned after the homicides. He decided he wanted to go home. But would he have normally gone? And I mean, who's going to drive 3,000 miles just to go home for Christmas?
Yeah, he switched to the Washington, where he was at. He switched to Washington plates. He went and switched over to that. So
right, and that's going to be argued. The prosecution is going to argue that he did that because he was trying to conceal that was his car.
Hold on. I need to correct this real quick because a lot of people have been hitting me up with this information saying the nightgown. Go back and read that, Deanna. Go back and read that document. That document is specifically talking about a nightgown from a different case.
Yeah, that's from a rape case, and they had sperm. They found sperm on the nightgown, and they retrieved the sperm from the nightgown and did the congeniality. That has nothing to do with this case. That is what's called, you heard me refer to, case law. So that case is cited as case law, which the prosecution is going to use to say, look, in this state, and I think it was Colorado, if I remember reading right, but in this state, this is what they did, and they struck down the objection from the defense, and they allowed it. So we have case law to support using genealogy.
Mm-hmm. That's, I mean, hold up, Tiff Annie or Tiff Annie. I don't know. I'm saying Annie, but in reality, it says Annie. Tiff Annie says, could BF's exculpatory evidence be that the girls were in possession of the sheath / knife before that night?
Anything's possible, but no. I would say no, but anything's possible. You can't.
I mean, I feel like if that was the case, I mean, wouldn't they be screaming from the rooftops? If that was,
I mean, it's
there'd be a bigger deal made out than that.
And then that's not. You're gonna find that this alleged exculpatory evidence is a turd. It's gonna be nothing. It's a nothing burger. It's just them, trying to let the society know that there's my clients, we've got evidence. They're just fighting. They're doing what they're supposed to do. You can't hate the player. You got to hate the game, right? So I mean, this defense attorney, she's a player in the game of law for the state of Idaho. So she's gotta do her diligence to provide this guy with a defense because she's state appointed. He's not paying her, which I'm still surprised some major attorney hasn't tried to take this case.
Mm-hmm.
And that still could happen. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, we talked about that. Do you think that all right, Cindy Newman also wants to add, do you think the FBI's IGG will be protected?
their IGG. What do you mean IGG? Am I missing something? Is that an acronym that I'm not?
We
I'm
could
not
jump
clicking
into that. Let me see what she's talking about. IGG. First, I'm hearing about it.
You talking about a confidential informant?
FGG is a unique investigative method that generate leads used by law enforcement.
Yeah, informant.
But that's
yeah.
FGG. That's not IGG.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing no IGG statement or
the
IGG.
confident. I think she's referring to the informant, the confidential informant being protected. So there may be informants, but they may be trying to say that, you know, the congeniality, all of those people are going to be informants, because they were actually what led to, you know, the DNA being tracked through the tree. Mm-hmm. So yes, because under state law, they all have informant laws. Every state has their own law. And if I were to sign, let's say T-REV, I was working, you know, a homicide, and you came to me and you're a doper and you're wanting to work off some time on a case, and you're my CI, and I got to sign you up as a CI. I have to do a whole packet on you. I have to have everything that there's possibly to know about you put in that intel packet, and then you get a number, and it's called a CI number. You're not referred to as a name, you're just a number, and that number is attached to the case. And a lot of times they try to get that CI exposed. Well, under the law, for obvious reasons, protection being number one, you're not going to expose your CI. That's why there are laws. So do I believe that they're going to be able to protect the integrity of the witnesses / informants or whatever they're referring to them as? Yes. The judges probably not going to. Now, if it's them just trying to protect the family tree of hundreds of people like they purported, I mean, who cares? I wouldn't care. I mean, it's his family tree. So let them all be exposed. But again, what's that going to do? That's going to increase the time of this process. They're going to subpoena each and every one of those people to try and break down this family tree. It would be ridiculous and redundant. There's no reason for them to do that. But again, she has the right as his attorney to demand and ask on behalf of her client for that to happen.
Oh, now there's more, dude. There's tons of questions, tons of them. Now, Detective John, what if any weaknesses do you see in the prosecution's case? Thank y'all, says Karen T.
Well, I'm biased, so I'm the wrong person to ask.
But in reality,
but I can, like in the beginning when I saw that they didn't bag those windows, and they allowed the general public to be able to stand out and film the crime scene techs doing what they do. That whole building should have been tinted and masked off somehow for them to be able to conduct that investigation without any cameras being able to see anything.
And there was no gag order at the time, and it was fresh right then. And
right,
you know, the media really was outside of the yellow tape, so they were walking around with cameras and shooting inside it. And should they have covered up those windows? I mean,
I've said that, and I don't know if you remember, but Sal, in the very beginning of all this, when I first came on the show, what started this is I was actually following, you know, the Adventures with Purpose stuff, and somehow you came up on, I think you came up, and I'm like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, I covered
it. It was during the Kali Rodney stuff.
Yeah,
and I, you know, I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. So I'm watching it, and you're like, you're on this case now, and then, you know, you're focusing on that car down in front that Jack was standing on the roof. I believe it was Jack, and everybody was circling that car saying that's the Elantra, and I was saying that's not an Elantra, dude. I'm telling you, it's not an Elantra. And then we went from there, and that's how I kind of came on the show. But I'm very critical of some of the stuff that I saw. And Sal, even actually, when I first came on the show, and, you know, it was determined that, you know, I was in law enforcement for a long time, Sal was like, what kind of cop does that? Well, you know, a cop that knows right from wrong and knows what a defense is going to do. And if I see any weakness thus far, I think that was a huge mistake, because it's provided that they didn't use proper protocol. They didn't wear their proper PPEs, and they were leaning over what I believe was, maybe a body, without, dumping DNA. One girl sneezed and tried to put it in her arm and all this stuff without a mask on. That's just stuff you just don't do, even though they can eliminate you, because everyone that was in that house for that investigation submitted their DNA so they can exclude them. But why would you do that? There's no way in God's green earth that any training any school that you go to is going to tell you not to wear your PPE stuff. So those were huge mistakes, in my opinion. But one guy walking in and out, not even carrying anything. You're just introducing, you're tainting a crime scene by doing that. You shouldn't do that. And you're opening the door for a defense attorney to pick apart the investigation and the collection of evidence, which they're going to, and I'm telling you, there probably will be some evidence that in a suppression hearing is suppressed, because it could very well be because of this type of stuff. And you've got so many investigators in there too. See, like, you don't have one or two investigators for that whole crime scene. Every room involved there had separate texts in it. So the downstairs had texts in it, and the upstairs had texts in it. So that's all got to be documented. Every time that somebody came in and out, there's a chart. You have to chart. Every time that crime scene tape was busted on that door, that red tape you saw when those FBI investigators, I believe, with the cowboy hats came, you could see all the crime scene separate applications. So you could see each time they came in and out of that place after it was sealed initially, there was like 8 or 9 pieces of tape that were cut through. So they went back time and time again to retrieve evidence. But to answer the question, yeah, that would be one thing that I know the defense is going to use. They're going to utilize that video to try and break down the collection of evidence and the potential that okay, yes, their job is to protect the integrity of the crime scene and not introduce DNA. But look at this. This chick didn't have a hairnet on. This guy didn't have a mask on. This guy walked in and out 8 or 9 times. He could have introduced any kind of DNA in there. They're going to try and cast doubt, and it'll be ridiculous, but they're going to try.
Now, Tammy Fletcher, Detective John, do you think he has killed before? I don't really know. I mean, is it possible? Yeah, 100%. But I don't think that he's killed human beings before. Now, again, I'm not saying he didn't. I'm just saying I don't think he has. I think that he would have. My theory is that he became what he became because he was infatuated with serial killers, and he wanted to know what the mindset of a serial killer was, because he was having those thoughts, and perhaps he was trying to figure out whether he was insane or not. He was trying to figure out what can I do to stop having these feelings, because in his journal that he wrote, there were some pretty telling things in there where he talks about how numb he is towards his own loving family, how he has no empathy. He has no, basically suggesting that he has no feeling for anything or anybody. So it doesn't matter to him if someone dies or he murders somebody. He's a narcissist. He doesn't care. And that's, psychopath, sociopath, all of it combined in one. So now, another one.
He morphed. I think that he morphed into what he wanted to know most about.
Now, Christina Monterio says, do you think it will be difficult to find a good jury in this case? Sorry for my English, says Christina. Thank you for the question.
It's going to be difficult. We've talked about that, and I'll hit on it again. It's going to be difficult because of this, what we're doing right now. The media, the net, just the, I mean, this is not just got Idaho coverage. Of course, it's got all of us are involved worldwide. People are involved. You've got people, T-REV, you've got people in Ireland, Switzerland, Germany. I mean, I'm sure you could go down a list of people, Australia, from all over the world that are following this case. They're listening right now. I'm sure, as she said, pardon my English, maybe she's not even from here. Where are you from? The person that just sent that. I mean, it's
said pardon my, yeah, they might be from a different country. I know we got, like,
right.
I mention it all the time. South Africa, Bangladesh, South America.
To answer the question, do I think it'll be difficult?
Right.
It's going to be tedious.
And that might delay the process in itself also, right?
Well, that's what I was saying. I mean, that is going to be probably one of the most epic parts of this whole process, is finding a jury pool. So you got to figure you have 12 jurors, right? But you also have alternates depending on what state. I believe that you could have up to 18 or 19 because people get sick. Let's say COVID, comes through and people get sick and they have to leave. So, or, something happens, you rarely ever have a case like this is going to take months. So once it gets to trial, so you're not going to have 12 jurors that at least one are not going to make it. And it's just almost impossible. Somebody's going to have something happen. They're going to have to leave. So they have to have alternates. So you've got to have, all those jurors have to be, vetted. They're going to ask them. The defense is going to want a certain type and the prosecution is going to want a certain type. And that's when they have to kind of mediate between one another and agree. Yeah, okay, I'll get number 2, you get number 3. I'll get number 4, you get number 5. So that's what happens. And yes, it's going to be hard. Not impossible though. But it is going to be hard.
DM, you just heard Detective John disrespect Kim. That is being combative. I'm confused. What's going on in the chat? Did I miss something? What he said? What? Just regular clothes. You just went outside, girl. I'm confused.
Misha Gal, I'm beyond. I had respect and an open mind when it came to Kim and the beginning of
that's where they're gonna see the disrespect within the email when I redact what I take out of there. They'll see.
So you're saying that we shouldn't disclose what Kim put because Kim trusted us not to put it out there. Well,
I personally, it's past that. When you're disrespecting and saying things on the crime scene that a killer would know, that's right. A little bit past.
Well, I call bullshit on that. So you really think that she sent you that and me that for us not to cover what she said? Does anybody really believe that? Because if you do, then you've got a disability because you're not very bright. If you actually believe that if I sent T-REV an email with all of this supposed factual evidence and statements, that T-REV's just going to read it and go, okay, I'm not going to cover it on the show. Do you really believe that? Do people really believe that? And so now Kim's a victim? Give me a freaking break.
Yeah.
Kim wanted that. Kim wants that. Kim thrives to hear herself talk and probably goes back and watches every show she's on. She loves it. She's relevant.
Absolutely.
She's relevant now. She's history. You know what? She's history.
Absolutely. I agree.
And I'm personally, I don't know about you or anyone else, but I'm personally over her ass. And I'm fighting for the families here. I'm fighting for the Gonsalves. I'm fighting for those people that are hearing this nonsense out there. It's bullshit that these other shows are giving this show and every other show like it a bad name. That's why we're hated so much, because of that crap right there.
I agree with that 100%. Because
And it truly does impede on an actual investigation, because the officers and the investigators are being inundated with this false garbage instead of actually focusing and are chasing false leads instead of focusing on the actual crime and the actual evidence. They're being fed these lies from people like her. And
now, Detective John, you know how I felt about what I seen in that email. What did it do to you specifically? Because I mean, it, like, I couldn't sleep when I read, you know, the certain details that were added in there that only a killer or somebody who worked that crime scene would know.
well,
How did it come across to you?
I honestly tried to have an open mind. I really did, because we know that she had students at a university less than 8 miles away. Okay, so I mean the two entities commingle, with one another. Idaho has the best restaurants supposedly in that area, so they would all come over to the corner bar. The corner bar is in the top 25 bars in the nation, supposedly, from what I heard. It's very well known. So they all went over there. So all these students rubbed elbows. So I tried to listen to what she said, read what she said, and tried to determine whether it was plausible. And yeah, some of the stuff was plausible, but then when I took what she wrote and then I interviewed her, I I'm not gloating, but I'm an expert in interview and interrogations. I know the questions to ask. It's like when I ask you when I ask you a question, and I expect you to be able to give me an answer pretty quick, not go on some, tangent, sidewinding road on how to get to that answer, which allows you time to construct an answer. If I ask you what color your eyes were, T-REV, you'll be able to tell me pretty quick. But if you wanted to lie about what color your eyes were, you'd find a way to divert
Right.
and construct. And she's just a bullshitter, bottom line. I think that she actually believes some of this stuff, because I think that she put her head down at night and probably couldn't sleep. And that's the empathy in me as a parent, feeling, I would probably be worried sick as well. But I think that this morphed into something big, and then she got the attention that she got. I don't believe this is the only case she's done this on either, because I've heard that voice before on some other cases. But that's just me speculating. I think this is what she does, to be honest with you. I think this one just hit close to home.
And like, when I'm gonna have to go through and redact some of the things out of their personal information, etc. But I think taking the stance and choosing to show what she's sending around to other creators and bigger creators that are actually entertaining what is inside of that is just, it's sickening.
It also people, once they read it, now you may have some people who are like, oh my God, I believe this, because it's not even well written, man. It looks like a sixth grader wrote it. Run on sentences, no periods. I mean, it's like, it doesn't even capitalize words at the beginning of another sentence. It's kind of weird, man. It's
well, you know
like,
what, and shout out to Angel Girls, who's in here too, because she knows, like I said, she knows Xana, and I'm pretty sure she knows her sister, etc. And part of what's in that email is about Xana and her daughter knowing Xana's sister and this, that, and the third, and have you get what I'm saying? So
yeah, but as much as and pardon this word, but as much of as a horror as she is on all these shows, she's learning this stuff. So I mean, what's that other show that everybody? What's that I don't follow? That's not a show. It's Reddit or whatever. I mean, a lot of what she said, your listeners pointed out, they said the same exact thing on Reddit. You know, so she got that from Reddit. I can remember people saying, typing in here, that came right from Reddit. She's saying exactly what was said on Reddit. So,
Right.
I mean, did she actually know all this stuff? I don't believe so. I believe she just educated herself and created a story that people, because there's no one out there, and that's another reason why I don't believe her, because there's no one else out there saying the kind of stuff she's saying.
Thank you, Shorty Bob. I appreciate you. Yeah, that's. I mean, it's gonna be like I said, man. That email will speak volumes to anybody who logically thinks and they think critically, and
Well,
they'll notice right away. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and
You'll
it's
notice
like
right
last night. Like last night when I was bored and kind of going through and listening, and I clicked on that truth and transparency, and it was I'm kidding you, man. I'm not kidding you. It was nails on a chalkboard for me to even hear that woman's voice after what we know now. For these sleuths, these fools, these irresponsible assholes and bitches, whatever I can call them names, to put this woman on and have people that don't really know any better believe in her crap is just unbelievable to me. They should be, you know, and I said before, I was kind of out of line, that I do know IRS agents, and for people to be getting clicks and getting money and getting paid to hear this shit, and them being allowed to do that, they should be audited. They should go up their ass, because, you know, this girl has done some crazy stuff. I know she's been sued, not Kim. I'm talking about this,
Yeah,
you know,
there's been a lot of videos and people sent to me that are I was like, damn.
allegedly. That's what people are saying, that she's been sued. I know you've had the information sent to you about her.
Yeah.
You know, dressing up like a, you know, never mind.
I mean, the whole the chat comes in here and bombards that every time I'm live. I mean, I see it multiple times, and that was part of why she actually called my chat out one time and was like, "We need to do better over here and control that." Like, I can't control what people come in and say. You know what I mean?
Control your chat because somebody looked her up and
Yes.
found out that allegedly that she's been sued and she doesn't even live in her own house anymore.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
That's what people come in and say this shit in chat.
Okay. So how does she feel if that stuff is not true? How would she feel if we reported on this show that stuff not being true? We entertained these people saying these things about her, and we had a whole show about her and her personal shit. How would she feel? What's the difference? How would she feel if we did that?
Wow.
I think she'd be trying to call your show out again and ask you to have your mods, you know, redact all that stuff before it even hits the screen. That's what she did to me.
Yeah, I mean,
that's why I snapshotted everything that I typed, and it came up. And then a mod said, "Detective John, cut it out. Cut it out. Cut what out? What am I cutting out? Am I cutting out the fact
you were calling out Kim as being bullshit, and you got chopped up for it because
I got chopped up.
They didn't want you to ruin what was going on in there, and we've already, you know what I mean? We've already jumped. I mean, come on now.
And Jeff, I love Jeff on this show. I saw Jeff on there. You know who I think was on there? Oh my God! Jeff was on there, and I didn't stay on long enough. I hope Jeff went in there and said something, because he knows the truth. He knows what we've done. But there was another. Somebody else. Name somebody that's always on the damn show. I can't think of it. I'm horrible. But she got kicked off the show too. One of your main people. Not Gina.
I don't mess with no Gina.
Regina.
Oh, Regina.
Not her.
Tell us about it, Detective John. We want to hear about it.
Well, she got on there, and I didn't see what she said, but the mods told her to get Hollis.
Oh, Hollis was getting in their ass?
Yeah, she got kicked off the show too. Get Hollis out of here now. So I don't know what Hollis said. If Hollis is on the show right now, which I assume she is, what did you say, Hollis? Because you got booted off the show too. Because I'm sure she probably jumped on exactly what I was saying. And they literally said, yeah, get Hollis out of here now. It was unbelievable.
What did you say?
I would hope somebody like Jeff, who's is he one of your mods still, or is he mod? Wasn't he a mod?
Jeff?
Yeah.
No, Jeff's a member. Shout out to Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out
I
to
wasn't
Jeff
sure if he was a mod, and he's provided us with. He's great.
Jeff does great video, man. He sent me some great work. He does great video work.
He's great, but I would hope
off the air. I've talked to Jeff on the phone specifically. I've talked to Jeff.
Yeah, and I like Jeff from the beginning, man. He and I were like, finding stuff out together with you, and it was great. But he was on there, and I was disappointed to see him on there. Nothing against you, Jeff, but I was disappointed knowing what you know. Now, I don't know whether you actually said anything, and I'm not trying to call you out. I'm just saying, the shit that's gone on with this woman, and to even support that channel just blows me away. I'm not that bored that I would go on and actually give money to one of these channels. I'll never do it. Never. I'll go on and listen, but you won't know I'm there. Some of these I've been on like 2 other ones for very limited time, and one of them, wants me to come on the show now, and I'm not really even thinking about it because I like this is my home. I love the T-REV show.
We appreciate you.
I love the format.
Yes, sir.
And you know what I love more than anything is you and I have had conversations, T-REV, and I've made suggestions to you, and you've actually listened. My suggestion was we not entertain this shit at all, and you were already going down that road, but we need to take a different direction. And some of these other shows are actually mimicking what you've done exactly.
I've called it out from the jump, though. I've been mimicked by a lot of different people, and I'm glad that I've motivated a lot of different people to step up their game. I mean, I'm glad that I was part of that. Shout out to them.
And we should all, all these shows should all work together to get to the truth, not entertain bullshit and entertain these people that no matter what you say, you could put a bloody knife in his hand, dripping to his car, walking from the house, and he would be innocent. Because that's just how some people are. I think they just want to create drama. They like it. And that's what a lot of these people are on these shows. They're a bunch of freaking drama queens and kings that want to create freaking nonsense. And call us. It's I'm not going to get into politics. I don't want to go there, but it's ridiculous.
You're great too, Detective John, says Jeff H. Shout out to Jeff.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, Jeff, was it ask him if it was Hollis that was on there last night that they kicked off?
I'm not sure.
I think it was Hollis.
Hollis in the building. I don't see her in chat right now, but Hollis is always in Discord and active, and we always talk. We were talking this morning at 4 a.m. about the Titanic. Dude, I stayed up all night researching this Titanic, the submarine, and all the different stuff like that. Dude, I'm so fascinated on that. I might have to cover that on my second channel tonight. I have to go live. My stomach's been turning for those people. Prayers out to the people on that Titanic submersion submarine. I mean, it's crazy, but they know what they went into. They know that it's a life and death situation when they go down there, but I pray that they are found and hopefully a miracle can happen.
It just goes to show you what the depths of the ocean, it's more intriguing to me than space a lot of time. I mean, there's so much stuff in the depths of the ocean that have been here from the beginning, that we don't know about, that are unexplored.
You know what? I kind of need to follow in Grizzly's footsteps on that. The victim shaming shit. Like that's I don't know. I feel like that's out of pocket big time, especially.
Oh yeah, that's one of my biggest pet peeves.
It's different. It's a difference though, Detective John, to me and everybody who is watching right now. It's a difference if we know that somebody is having a struggle with drugs and we're talking about it, if there was specifically some things going on, but these things have not came out that, people were struggling with drugs and this, that, and the third. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of victim shaming that goes on in this that the family see, and I know they're crushed by it.
Well, to have my child in that house, if that was my child, and I had
Thank you,
some sleuth entertaining the fact and listening to all these people say that it was a drug hit and they were moving a lot of weight out of there. That's why, that's why they were all murdered and all this garbage. I hit on it yesterday. Use your common sense. If that was truly a drug house, then every time that a call was generated at that house, if I'm the responding officer, and you're not talking about a huge police department, so these officers that responded there were probably the same damn officers all the time. So they would know that it was a dope house, and they would be stroking citations and getting them in trouble with the council and everything else to try and shut them down if it was a drug house. That was not a drug house. Was there some weed moving in and out of there? Probably. Maybe some ecstasy? Probably. But that does not make it a drug house. It's a college environment. There's dope. Let's face it. There is. People experiment. There's Adderall everywhere. Adderall is a huge problem. People don't think. They think because it's a prescribed drug that it's not but it's a huge problem. There are people that are blowing their minds on Adderall. I have a relative that got addicted to it, and he's screwed up from it. But it's used by colleges to cram for exams. These kids use it because it gets your everything firing in your brain.
Yeah, that shit. There's no.
But yes, I agree. Grizzly doesn't tolerate that. I don't watch her often. I just watch you, and like when you're not on, I'll go on.
Listen to everybody else. Yeah. Detective John, you cut out for a second. The air supply is running low. Love Grizzly. I really like Brian on Let's Talk Live. He's a smaller channel, very respectful of the victims too, and not big on conspiracies. The air supply is running low. My father was in the Navy. Detective John, you're muted right now. That's what I see. You hit
Sorry,
the mute.
buddy. A phone call was coming in. So
yeah, you're good. You're good. Yeah, definitely. That victim shaming shit it's crazy. It's crazy.
My father was in the Navy. Oh yeah, you're talking about the. But there's Gina. She does a great job pulling up stuff. She's also.
I think some of those could tell. Or I think some of us can tell those kids weren't drug addicts. That makes me mad to see people say that, and as if it's facts. Yeah. There's so many people making up imaginary stories, scenarios. It's disgusting. Like, no, you don't know who did drugs. You don't know anyone's family, etc. Cloud is a dangerous drug.
Right.
Says, when a YouTuber says to you, people shouldn't touch pans that are hot, should that be taken as a threat? Damn. You shouldn't touch pans that are hot.
When a YouTuber says that?
Yeah, that's what Jeff said.
Oh.
That's what Jeff
said.
Is
Jeff, are you referring to me calling Kim out last night on the show and saying what I said? Can you pull that back up, T-REV? So a lot of people that are on now haven't seen what I posted last night on her show.
I mean, it's stamped on this live forever. We can pull it up though.
Yeah, but that was in the beginning of the show, so people don't know what we're talking about.
Oh, you're talking about right here. You're talking about so I really don't. I don't think I'll understand why people keep entertaining her. But I mean, that's what's making me gonna have to redact the part of this email and really put it out. And we're like I said, we'll do full breakdown of it. And I still have the full live from when we pulled her up, and I muted my mic and I let you break it down.
So this was on a Truth and Transparency show last night. So this was actually after I did my first one. So it's not in any particular order. So I said, so I expose a liar and you guys ban me. I'll be exposing this tomorrow with screenshots. Unreal, LOL. And that's referring to, yeah, she knew it. Once I did this and I said this, she couldn't get Kim off the show quick enough. Kim was still running her mouth and she kind of cut her off and basically wanted her off the show because she knows that she's going to get some wrath. She knew then she was going to get wrath today. Go to the other one, T-REV. If you
Which
can.
one? Which one was it?
The one where I actually call her out.
Irresponsible. Yeah, but it looks like you were already blocked at that point because that's why like this it's in the dark black like that. So that means nobody really even seen that. But it
No,
says
that's not
no, but I'm saying this is one that didn't go
yeah.
through because you were
Yeah, that's
probably
when I
already
was
hit.
blocked. Yeah, but there's one before that. I'm trying to say, it's irresponsible for you to pay Kim attention. Can't wait till tomorrow to talk. Now, the mods saw this, but we didn't. They didn't see it.
Right.
This is a joke. We go to the other one where I actually my first post. As soon as I heard Kim's voice, I went on there. I had to sign up and go in and stuff.
I don't think I have that one on the computer.
Yeah, you did. You posted it earlier.
Did I?
You've got it. I sent all four or five of them to you.
That's not it. That's a thumbnail. Like I said, I think that was the first one I had up. It has to be because this is the one. So I exposed a liar and you guys banned me.
No, that's not it. No.
Screenshots. The one that I had up.
This is actually about.
Oh, here it is. This has got to be it right here. Right there. That's it.
Let me see it. Okay, yeah. This is the first. So I had to sign in and do all this stuff. So it took me a minute. So I got Kim is believing her own paranoia. She's been debunked and she continues to go on whatever shows will have her. It's irresponsible. You were all being had. She loves this. LOL. And I would have typed more, but of course you're only allowed so many characters. And then, some people are like, hey, Detective John coming on there. Some people that are on this show. And then I get attacked, almost immediately. And she's like, she says on the show, she doesn't even acknowledge me, but she's like, have a nice day or something like that. She should be done. No one should go to that show. That show's a joke. Absolute JOKE joke.
Detective John's going their ass out here.
She should be ashamed of herself.
Detective Johnson, I'm on your bumper.
I'm a tenacious son of a bitch.
It's just a fact, like with this Kim shit, like it is crazy, man. Like I said, if the creators got the same exact email that I got, then they would have a lot of questions themselves just based on what was sent in. It's, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm pushed to the point where now I have to redact the email and put it out.
No, that's what I wanted you to do right after that.
My button's pushed, and now I have to drop the email to show everybody what made my stomach turn and what made me show that it's a wrap.
Because you know what? People would hate her after reading that. They would hate her for typing that kind of bullshit. They would hate her guts, and if they don't, there's something wrong with them. They would despise what she put in her email.
I emailed it to Gray. So I mean, it is Courtney. I emailed it to Gray.
And you emailed it to
specific details. It has specific details about wounds and Kaylee, etc. And I think it would discuss the Gonsalves family and Xana's family. I think it would discuss them.
She should definitely write, horror novels because, and she even admits that her children want her to shut her mouth. Her own kids tell her to shut her mouth. She actually last night screwed up and said that she went months without talking to her daughter because of something about this, and that's what she alluded to, because she knew I was on, and then she's like, oh, I trusted. No, what's her face asked her if she had any regrets, and she said, yeah, I have regret going on.
Like I said, I'm going to redact all personal information will be redacted out of that email, but I am going to show that. I'm being pushed to do it. I see all these different shows entertaining this bullshit, and Detective John already broke her down and debunked her on live, and it's still up right now. I see people saying stop talking about it, but in reality, while you're saying stop talking about it, it's being produced in front of audiences that are 40,000, 50,000, 80,000 views, and people are running with this shit, and higher up YouTubers, even with 1 million subscribers, are talking about her in general. So now it really needs to be put to bed. It needs to be put out and redacted for that reason.
And you know, you have another
It's
show
crazy.
that has you know, an ex-law enforcement on there. You know, he admits he was never, you know, a detective. He was a, you know, a street cop. But you know, and listening to that show, they debunked her, but they don't even acknowledge it. She debunked herself, and they don't even acknowledge it, and they have her back on the show again. It's unbelievable to me. Where's the common sense here? And yes, should we stop? I don't like talking about her, but I feel like it's kind of incumbent, or I feel like maybe this show
Oh man.
has a responsibility to debunk her and call out all these other shows that are allowing this shit for the families. I think this is a good platform to stick up for the families and actually be the only show that calls this bitch out, because that's what she is. She's a lying bitch. She should not be allowed to platform to be on a platform and spew the crap that she's spewing against, you know, these families. These families are victims. No matter how anybody wants to look at it, they're a victim. And you think they're not on these shows watching this stuff? I guarantee you some of them are. And they're probably incensed.
Sean says, why are you guys worried about Kim? We should be concerned about Liner. What about Liner? She has so many retarded followers these days. She's trying to get another cop in trouble. I mean, it is what it is. You got nasty shit, but I mean, I don't even know who you're talking about. You said Liner? Who's Liner?
That's probably a typo.
Yeah, it may be. It may be.
Hey, Sean, if you've got somebody else out there that we need to be turned on to and we can debunk, hell yeah, I'm sure T-REV is cool with that. I mean, I'm not sure, you know.
It's just it's the false information that somebody in this, especially that lives in WSU out in that area, that is spewing these information to bigger creators that are actually entertaining it, is just that's just the problem. I mean, it's a problem when I have people emailing me over and 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 over again talking about, and then people keep saying, why you talk about Kim? But in reality, I keep getting emailed like, can you believe they're showing this? Oh, I actually believe this. You believe that she knows specific details about things from that were taken from the victims out of the crime scene? No. That she calls facts? No. Absolutely not. 100% speculating.
Well, and the thing is, you know, while I'm on there, I wasn't being a jerk. I just stated the facts, and I get absolutely attacked. It's like, you know, I'm the medicine that's killing the cancer, but the cancer wants to thrive. So we got to get rid of the medicine. You know, they're the flies on the piece of shit, as far as I'm concerned, dropping maggots, creating more flies. And, you know, I personally am on a mission to end this freaking crazy bitch and her freaking everybody that supports a platform for her to get on there and talk. I'll attack every single one of them. Not that I matter, but hey, you know, you have a lot of followers, and I'm saying to those followers that go to these other shows, don't go to those shows anymore. Withdraw. You know, don't be a part of that crap, because you're part of the problem if you are. I still think that we should, you know, I know you haven't even entertained or thought about us doing it, but I still think we ought to move in a different direction and start trying to. I would love to hear people's theories on why anyone would do something like this, you know, and, you know, allegedly that it's him and why it would be him. People have good ideas, and, you know, it's,
I just missed the comment. Where was it at?
There's profilers, like, you know, I worked very closely with profilers, and we would sit at a table and just try and bounce stuff off one another. And, you know, sometimes we would absolutely nail, you know, the suspect.
I can't find the comment I was looking for. Where was it at? I just seen the chat just shifted big time. Deep-seated stuff. I can't find that comment I was looking for. I just seen a comment, and all of a sudden, all right, there it is. Doc City Crime investigates. Kim is still placing speculation on Jack D, and people are believing her. when the Gonsalves family has said JD has nothing to do with this.
Yeah, that she was talking about that last night. What's her face with her show was even talking about Jack D. Why this? Why that? Who cares? Who cares? Jack D did not commit these homicides. Jack D was not involved in these homicides. Jack D probably, by not answering his damn phone, is probably alive today. Sorry to say, well, I'm glad to say, but he's glad to say, but that he's alive because he didn't answer his damn phone. He may be alive because he got shit-faced and couldn't hear his phone, or he may have just been ghosting her. Who knows? But that decision saved his life, because I can guarantee you, had he been there, he would probably be laying right next to one of them.
Did you see what Jeff just said to you on the screen?
I can see it now. I wish I'd have known you were on that live stream, Detective John. We could have double teamed. I think I got on after you. No, you were on when I was on. No, he was on. Because you did a post like this on there too. I forget what they were talking about. Something about the food truck. It was around the food truck time when they were talking about the corner club and the food truck, and her saying I told Adam everything and all that stuff. It was around that time. You have to go back to the show and look. But the way I got back on is I just logged out and came back in. It's pretty easy. You can put me in timeout, but if I log back and come back in, I found that I could just repost again.
I mean, I guaranteed I can name a bunch of them that are sitting in here right now watching you, Detective John. They're talking about it right now on Discord as we speak.
Oh, they're watching the show. They may not.
Yeah, guaranteed. They're in here right now. One of them. I'll name one of them right now. Miss Potts. Guaranteed.
Oh yeah, Miss Potts is on there. There's two Potts on there.
I'd put the studio on the line right now. She's in here. Guarantee it. I put the studio on.
Annie, was it Annie Potts or Miss Potts?
Yes, it changed to Miss Potts, but it was Annie.
Yeah,
I guarantee she's in here. I guarantee no changes in here. I guarantee the Chicantica's in here. I guarantee a lot more in here. Yeah, guaranteed. I see them all. I know. I creep. I see. I know myself. So I'm not.
Yeah, I mean it's not, and that's not abnormal. I think it's totally normal. It's like going on. I mean, it's not.
We do it.
I mean, we do it. No one is obligated to just be on the T-REV show. All I'm saying is,
look, to be honest, I'll tell you why I do it. I do it to go, I creep around to look, because there's certain people that are super close to me that, they'll be like, or just certain members that I let's just say we get real tight. We're like a family and we talk. So I go around and look at these shows and see what's going on. And sometimes I run across some loyal people who say things, or people that I thought were loyal who say things in here and are talking a whole different verbiage and a whole different
right. They're playing both
YouTube.
sides.
So it's like, and those are the people that I note I note down, like, okay, yeah, they're damn, I thought they were okay. No, they're not that. So it's like that's what I do. And if I see shit like that, I tell them to unsub. I tell them to unmember up and get the fuck out of here. That's what I do. I really don't care.
Well, I get it, man. There's this stuff's intriguing to a lot of people. I've become kind of addicted to this case. But I've got I've got employees. I've got a job that I have to do. I can't sit and watch it all the time. But some people, that's all they do. They may have a job where they can sit and listen to your show all the time. And when you're not on, they want to be following the case. So they'll go to another show. I get it. There's nothing wrong.
No, I mean, and you're supposed to go around and see what's going on. But I'm saying in general.
But just don't be two-faced is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Don't be two-faced.
Thank you.
Because that's exactly what you're being by doing that. If you go on and you play both sides, and when you're on a T-REV show, you're all about not being not spreading these lies, but then you go on another show and you're part of the problem.
Right.
You're asking questions of somebody that, like Kim, you're sending in questions to ask her when she's full of shit. It's pointless.
And another thing is that and people, and there might be a bunch of them in here right now that send me these emails and screenshots and like, yo, look what they were in chat earlier saying this and now they're over here saying that. And then they'll send me a link and I'll pull up and be like, what what is going on over here? Like people really are, people are more vigilant than we think.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like people are very more, they're really in tune. I'm talking about people that aren't even in Discord that'll hit me up and be like, did you know that so and so is here? And here's the screenshot and here's the link to the, go look. And I'm
Yeah, I
like,
mean,
damn, like
and like you know, Jeff. I know Jeff's on these other shows too because I see him pop up. But that doesn't mean he's playing both. He's just a true crime, you know, addict. You know, like a lot of us are. So he wants to see the latest. It's like I went on. I caught JLR yesterday when he broke it down and posted what you have on the screen right there. You know, JLR, he's tenacious, man. That guy can dig some stuff up. You know, his delivery is, you know, pretty to the point. I think people can get a lot of good stuff from him. He's not one to kind of get into, you know, have dialogue with a bunch of people. He's more of a fact finding, you know, outlet that I went and found that stuff, and I thought, wow, this is really good. And he actually had just found stuff while he was on his show. He says this is brand new. The thing about the sheath being underneath the Maddie's body, in between the comforter and her, face down.
this man, this man is funny as hell. Now the remaining question is who put the Trojan on Trev's PC.
Chris just said JLR has grown on me. He's grown on me too. Because at first, I'll be honest with you, the guy got on my nerves. I don't know what it was about him. He was kind of like, you know, and don't take this wrong.
That's who
JLR is kind of like this sleazebag, creepy kind of scenario. But he's grown on me. I like him.
I fuck with JLR right now, man.
Yeah,
I do. I don't got no problems with him.
He's you know what? He's not, and I hate to say he's a typical, you know, reporter looking for scoop, you know, and he'll do whatever he can. This guy, he files, you know, he demands, you know, for records all the time, and you know, he's tenacious. That's why he's, you know, people are actually, I'll go to him from now on to look for stuff that other people don't have, because I think he's going to have it probably before anybody. Okay, I did send $5 last night on TNT about the 51 terabytes, but she didn't even acknowledge it at all. Right? Yeah, because none of that shit matters to her, dude. Only thing that matters to her is entertaining bullshit.
I've looked up. I see people saying look up on JLR. He's a convicted fraud. I've seen it. I mean, we all got passed. I've seen it. I've seen JLR's track history. I've seen it. We all got track history.
Yeah, everybody's got it.
Some of us don't. Some of us do.
Everybody's got a history. That doesn't make, you know, people make mistakes in their life. You know, everybody makes mistakes.
But I mean, I see where people are coming from. You can't argue with that. Some people go based off of certain things. I respect it. It is what it is. We all have background. A lot of us have background. Some of us don't. It just is what it is.
This is like a war. You got to pick a side. Well, Christina, don't pick the dark side. That's all I've got to say. You're not on the dark side over here. You go to a show like that show that I'm referring to, you're on the dark side.
The victims and families and their friends. Got to
use the force.
We all have a post. Yes, exactly.
I think the problem is, T-REV, is, you know, everybody has a show at a different time, and people get bored. Like myself, I got bored. You know, I don't watch TV. I freaking can't stand TV anymore. So I'll go on and you know, I'll watch stuff on YouTube, whether it be Andy Griffith or Leave It to Beaver or, you know, old Lucy shows, whatever. But I'll watch this stuff too. You know, I'll actually watch stuff on space. I'll go to sleep watching it because I'm intrigued with NASA and you know, the scopes and what they're finding out there. I rarely watch TV anymore, but you know, just kind of depends on what I'm in the mood for. So everybody's intrigued with this particular case. So every show has a little bit different. It's a little bit different. They offer something different. But all I expect from people is to, once they figure out somebody is a fraud and a liar and has been debunked, is to not support that person. Don't support that person.
Bing bang.
And if you are supporting that person and that person has followers, a believer, and you're getting money for it, shame on you. You're disgusting POS to me.
Samantha Barrett says, Trevor, I remember the day you had her on. I told you that she was FOS, and you told me I didn't have to be here. Glad you figured her out. I don't know who you're referring to, but respect. I respect that.
What did Mouthy Mama just say?
I do say that too. Mouthy Mama said,
Mouthy Mama's on her show too. What did Mouthy Mama just say? People that judge?
People who judge are not worth much. She's on what show?
I think Mouthy Mama was on there too. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mouthy Mama.
Nah, she don't mess with those shows.
Somebody with a similar name.
Mouthy Mama doesn't mess with those shows. Mouthy Mama is a rider. That's my road dog right there. Me and Mouthy Mama
I'm not judging anybody.
Me and Mouthy Mama are really, that's my dog. I talk to her all the time on Twitter, and she's.
I don't want people to think I'm judging Kim. I'm not judging her. I came up with.
She's not talking about Kim though.
I came up with an opinion based on facts, and my opinion is my opinion. If people don't want to believe my opinion, I'm not going to try and. I mean, I'll tell you my.
I'll tell you what, man. Mouthy Mama is she's a very, very. I love Mouthy Mama to death. She's super loyal and she shows nothing. She really, dude. She's on top of her shit. She will, dude. I'll go on to Twitter and find documents that I fucking never even seen before, and she's got me. And I mean, she's very informative. She's, like I said, man, Mouthy Mama is a great soul. So I've never seen.
That doesn't mean that she doesn't go to other shows and watch it too. I'm sure she does. I'm
just saying I've never seen her. I've never seen her do that.
I guarantee you, everybody, 90% of the people on this show right now have been on other shows.
Of course. I mean, come on. I mean, I have.
It's just the nature of the beast, and there's nothing wrong with it.
I have been on other shows,
but to go to these other shows and send them money and support it,
like the Pascal show, I've been on there.
And even get in chat with them. I got in chat, but I got in chat to make a point. And some of those people,
it's full of shit. I got you.
Didn't know about this.
Yeah, that's nope. I don't. Yep. See, Mouthy, like I said, Mouthy Mama, I don't go anywhere but here now unless it's storm chasing. See, like I said, yeah, I be on them storm chasing channels too. I love the storm chasing channels, especially the tornado one. I was watching that one guy, man. He had like 114K in there. It was going crazy. And the fact that he took all of his donations and went and helped out the victims from the tornadoes, man, that was lovely to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. There are good people out there.
Amy says you were not judging Kim, you were calling a spade a spade.
Exactly. And if I'm judgmental for doing that, then so be it.
Senior people are weird.
Yeah, but are questions still coming in, or is there?
Yeah, no, there's tons. There's tons of questions. Are you? I mean,
keep them coming, man.
There's tons of questions. We just had a little herring out there. We were talking about something else, but yeah. Tressa says, "What evidence do you think they have and won't come out until trial? His nail in the coffin, so to speak."
Well, I think I know that the digital footprint that he has left, although it's going to be circumstantial, but a lot of people think just because it's the word circumstantial surrounds it that it can't be used. And that's not true. Circumstantial evidence can be used. It paints the picture. I think that he's going to have a hard time explaining why he was out at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning and then back. He didn't go to sleep. He drove around all damn night and then went back at 9 a.m. Makes no sense. I mean, explain that stuff away, and he doesn't have to have an alibi, but, typically when you're accused of a crime and you say you didn't commit it, you would provide an alibi indicating why you didn't commit it. I was at my girlfriend's house. I slept there all night. We We got it on for freaking 4 hours and went to sleep and got it on again at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was nowhere there. I wasn't there. There's no way. She can corroborate that. That's an alibi, you know, but he's going to have a hard time. I think the nail in the coffin is going to be inevitably, yes, it's his DNA, but to assist, and the biggest part is going to be the digital footprint that he leaves. Now, who is it? Is it Regina? I can't remember.
Reed Trimmer, or Reed Timmer. I know, I've seen him.
Who's doing? Who's talking about his car having a GPS on it and stuff? I can't remember. One of the girls, and she's adamant that it does. Well, when I would like to go back on that traffic stop.
I don't know nothing about that, Ali, but
I would like to go back on that traffic stop when I get a chance and see if his car has a GPS, because that car to be tracked like the Murdaugh case, that was a $100-something-thousand SUV. It's got, badass GPS, nav system, all that stuff, and that's how they were able to track his car, because it's linked to a nav system. I don't know. I mean, I was a traffic homicide investigator, but it's been a while, and I don't know that the black box that she's referring to in an Elantra has the ability to do that without a GPS. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. So if we can confirm that car did have GPS, then yeah, in fact, they'll be able to use, the info from the CPU on that car and download it and know every time he turned the key on, every time he put it in park, every time he hit the brakes, every time he drove. But I don't believe a 2015 Elantra, which is a cost savings car, I don't believe it's got that. But she says that it did. I mean, I don't know how she knows that unless she's got the VIN and she can pull it up. But
this is the one you're talking about. It wasn't Brian though. As far as the information that Unhidden True Crime found out, that video right there, Shelly, it wasn't Brian. They were allegedly able to find out. I gave them the number that I found after going through 80,000. So, I mean, they said that they talked to the guy. I mean, you can make the determination for yourself, but I thought it was him. What, seriously? This isn't a gang or a war. We need to pick sides. I go everywhere. Plus, nothing wrong with it. Who said it's a gang or a war?
Yeah, no one's saying I'm not. Well, it kind of is a war, because some people it
absolutely is though.
Yeah,
if I see one of my mods over, if I see one of my mods over on something like that just for me in general, if you're a mod of mine, and this is just personal preference as a creator, if you're a mod of mine and I see you somewhere talking crazy or doing some wild ass shit or messing with these channels that we've talked about, this, that, and the third, and Discord, and that's just my personal preference. If I see that, I remove him as a mod. That's just me in general. That's my preference, and that's what I stand for my channel in general. If I see somebody off like that, but that's just me though.
And who is that person that just said it's not a gang? Or who was that? Because that
Abracadabra, I think.
Yeah, that she was on there because I recognized the her picture thing. But it's to me, as a parent, it's a freaking war, because knowing what is being said out there, and these parents can't defend themselves. They can't do anything, and they have to hear this nonsense and these lies about their children. That, to me, that's a war, and I'm going to go to battle to win that war. And I'm gonna battle every single one that I see that has Kim on again. If I'm allowed on the show, I will battle to win that war, because somebody's got to be a voice for these families, and this show gives a good platform and has taken a stance, and I think some other ones have because of this show. that were totally leaning toward the conspiracy shit that was wrong. Like I said, let's move on to the why and the reasons why this happened. Let's everybody has a theory, but in my opinion, I'm 100% sure that Brian Kohlberger is
That
the
must
sole
that,
suspect.
that must have been a long time ago, Maris. I have to go through and undo that. That's weird. That must have been a long time ago when I was barely in there or I missed something. But you said a Discord mod of mine, which I've honestly removed just about every Discord mod I had and reestablished my whole entire Discord. So you probably got banned back when I had some disrespectful piece of shit mods, and I could admit that I had, because things were moving so fast that I wasn't even able to keep up with everything. There's so many different tabs and shit going on, and people inboxing me with problems. And I apologize if you became a victim of the bullshit that went on in there. And I can go in and fix that. Like I said, I rearranged it all. It is nowhere near like that. But
Yeah, I think you had.
That must have been that.
Too many. I think you had too many mods at one time.
Well, she's talking about Discord now. In Discord, I had a bunch of mods, and there were some ignorant mods that I had in there, and I did. I take accountability for that. That's on me. I put them in position. I didn't screen them enough. To make sure. Like I said, if I make somebody a mod, I'm making somebody a mod because I think they're loyal in general. But if I see otherwise, I will fix that. You know what I mean? And that's on me for allowing that to happen, Maris, and I apologize, and I will take care of that. Email your Discord name.
See, T-REV just owned it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. What? Well, there's nothing wrong with owning something a mistake that you made.
Nope, you just owned it.
I've made plenty of mistakes on my channel, even entertaining all the bullshit.
Sasha, gotta vet that shit. Yeah, Sasha, I 100% agree.
Time traveler, absolutely. I can see you. Absolutely. Rebecca Thompson. Thank you. Exactly. I don't know what you're exactly to, but thank you. I appreciate you. Let's see. Agree, but don't be two-faced. Yeah, exactly.
Yep, that's what I said. Two-faced.
Yes, man. I got you, Maris. I got you. Because I don't even that much. Like I said, that must have been a while back.
Hollis, were you on there last night? Because I think she got kicked off last night. Right as I was getting kicked off. Somebody said, "Get Hollis off of here."
Hollis goes ham. Yeah, you cleaned it up good. Yeah, Doozy, I remember at a point you were having problems, and we just had to clean shit up. Like I wasn't in there enough at that time, and there was so much stuff going on with people hitting me up as far, all these different network companies and people reaching out to try to sponsor the channel. I just had so much shit coming in that I didn't even know what to do. I was responding to this little by little, and just, like I said, I had that Netflix email to people that wanted me to be on the Netflix show since January. So, I mean, that I didn't even see that. That email went over my head. That's how many emails I got.
Where is that standing right now? Are you considering doing that? Or are you thinking?
Yes. Yeah. And it's on the show is based on sleuthing, and they were fans of the channel and subscribed to the channel and were watching the way the phone calls were coming in, and people they're interested in the story on how I was able to handle all these phone calls coming in and emails and pulling up different things, and how was it and how did it feel? That's what they're interested in. Long story short, there's more involved, yes, but that's the short story.
So they wanted the inner workings of the show.
Exactly. Yeah, it's on Sleuths, but it's also on the case, also, of course. But it's mostly the sleuthing side of it, and there's a lot of sleuth shows out there too. And they happen to be one of those.
So, what's the elephant in the room? Somebody's got a question they probably want to ask. It's an elephant in the room. Ask me. I'll answer it as best I can.
Love you, Sweet Pea. You've been around for such a long time. Months and months and months. Probably damn year. Shit, close enough. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, great mods here now. Yeah, I'm shaping them up. We're doing as best as we can. All you can do is do the best you can. Yep, and that's what they are, two-faced. Let's see. I got people threatening to sue me, this, that, and the third, which is false. Like, I dare him to try to ask. I got the papers right here from the last person that tried that shit.
Well,
people love your show. The whole point is to make sure guilty is arrested. Absolutely, Willow. 1,000%.
yeah, we want the right person to go to jail for sure. And I 1,000% believe it's, Kohlberger. That's my.
Protected said, telling people not to go anywhere else, but yet you were somewhere else. Protected's she's always on your bumper, boy.
Oh yeah, okay. Typical response, Protected. So I go somewhere else. I went somewhere else to shut down a liar. We all admitted we go to these other shows to listen to see what people are saying.
Thank you, Alexa.
It's called, curiosity. T-REV does it himself. So Protected, if you got a problem with that, I don't know how I can help you. But you got a right to your opinion, but don't condescend to get on here and act like I contradicted myself, because I didn't. I go on these other shows just because it's entertaining. And I go on the shows that I can't stand. I don't go into chat, but I'll listen to them and I'll laugh my ass off. And then me and T-REV talk about it.
So, all right, for instance, to talk about what you're elaborating on right now, and she may be going based on what you saying, like as far as the screenshots we pulled up earlier. So could you explain what made you even come out and say anything last night?
Well, in case
was it the Kim? Was it the stuff with Kim, or what?
It was in case Protected just now joined the show and is nitpicking, which I think she is. She needs to listen to the whole show, and maybe she would have, without me condescending to actually explain it to her, which she would take it as. Mm-hmm. Yes, I went on that show, and the first thing I heard was nails on the chalkboard, Kim. And I'm like, why are you guys even entertaining this lady? She's been debunked. You got people asking her questions. There's all kinds of stuff that I sent that's not on there because they booted me off. Why are you entertaining? Why are you providing a platform for this lady? Because she goes where everybody will welcome her. So stop welcoming her, because you all look like idiots for entertaining this crazy woman's theories that she purports to be 100% true. I'm 1,000. She's even going into the conspiracy. The police are conspiring, and why are they holding information?
And you're talking about Kent.
I'm talking about, yes.
Okay, just making it out there. So
Washington State Kim, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't even know if that's her name. I don't know. Actually, I do know. And I do know her daughter's name. And I do know her daughter on Facebook. I did some investigating just to see if her daughter went to school there. And, so it's called vetting. That's not my job to vet. But out of curiosity, I vetted a little bit. So Protected,
I see some people on Detective John's bumpers in the comments. What?
Post it. I'll address it. I got thick skin. I don't care what these people say. Let
me see. But
all they are to me is probably defending the other show, because they spend time on that show. That show's a joke. J-O-K, joke.
Beautiful, messy, BQLL. I see you all the time on Twitter, actually. She said Detective John is the one being condescending right now, with all due respect.
So I use the word condescending to not be condescending, and that makes me condescending. Yeah, you're bright. So I guess I'm condescending.
What?
Jesus.
I have no idea what she could be talking about, a specific subject. I have no idea what she's talking about. Like, as far as you being condescending,
utterly, if you look at any things I say, I try not to be condescending. I try to help people understand the process, and I try to do it like someone that would be teaching would do. Mm-hmm. I coach kids. I do all kinds of. I coach baseball, football, basketball. I run routes with these kids. I teach them how to do things, and I'm not condescending.
No, I wonder if it's the show part that they're talking about, because maybe because when I was speaking on like the loyalty part, I think maybe that I don't know if that's what they're referring to. What That's why I'm asking for an example on what they mean, because I'm trying to get them to point me in the direction of what she means by that, because she's here all the time.
Look,
What?
the only thing that I have a problem with is shows continually having a person on that's been obviously debunked. And people that want to hear that shit will pay to hear it. Okay, cool, whatever. But when I hear it, and if I'm out there watching some of these shows and listening in, I'm not gonna lay down for what that person's saying when I know it's not true. Someone's got to go out there and defend these families. Someone's got to do the right thing. And if it's me and I'm condescending for doing it, then so be it. I'll own that. I don't care. All I know is as a parent, if I had some woman out there spewing lies about my children being, associated with drug dealers, and because I'm associated with drug dealers,
People are on Detective John's bumper, boy. I never found him condescending. I'm just trying. Let me see. I'm looking for her comment because I'm trying to see what she means though.
Who's that?
When they see him, I'm not a fan of his.
Hollis, did you get kicked off that show last night too? Because somebody said get Hollis out of here now.
I'm trying to get a prime example of what they mean by you're being condescending, but that's why I'm just trying to find out.
I think because I used the word condescending, and I said I don't want to condescend to explain it to someone that makes me condescending. That's me being sarcastic. It's not being condescending.
Okay, so I see the family went to the show who had Kim on for misinformation, by the way. For misinformation, to clear something up that was complete misinformation. That's also the reason why.
Are you talking about Gonzalez going on?
I'm talking about the Drunk Turkey show. Yeah, it was for misinformation. 1,000%. Yeah,
but see what people see is, oh, this must be a great show because one of the parents has come on my show.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what the true story is, that maybe there was misinformation being spewed out there, and that parent was probably pissed off and reached out and wanted, and he saw the opportunity and he seized it. That was a smart move, but it doesn't change the fact that the reason why she came on the show allegedly was because there was misinformation being spewed on his show, which he allowed.
I agree, Charlotte.
He continued to support, which I would have went on a damn show too, but to spin it like, oh, it must be a great show because one of the parents is on my show. No, I don't believe that's right either. That's misleading.
All right, let me see something. Where's these questions? Here we go again.
Yeah, go with the questions.
Hi, Detective John. I'm wondering what happened to the footprints. Can it be traced to someone? Look at 77.
What happened to the footprints? Okay, so we talked about a little bit earlier about, people were saying, how could he walk through there and not have any footprints? And I said, well, who said that there was no footprints? So that's part of the evidence that, somebody asked earlier, what's gonna hurt him if we can put those same footprints, because he cleaned his car, and you're not going to get proteins from blood out of a carpet of a car. You're just not going to do it. I don't care what you do. You can bleach it all you want, but the proteins bond themselves and they don't come off very easily. So if he walked through, let's say he walked through that crime scene and he walked through the yard, he's still going to have blood on his shoes. And when he gets to the car, he gets in the car, he puts his foot on the brake pedal, He deposited DNA, blood, evidence, period, dog hairs from, I'm sure that there are dog hairs, all throughout that house. Dog hairs into the car. The first thing they did was they probably removed the rubber from the brake pedal and the gas pedal, and they sent those to the lab. They probably removed, good portions of the seat. If they had an area of the seat that was lit up, they would cut that chunk out. They wouldn't take the whole seat. They'd cut the chunk out and submit it. Anything around the door handles, like when you grab a door handle and you open it underneath, people don't think to clean that. So if you have bloody gloves on and you run out to the car and you get in the car and you take your gloves off once you get in the car thinking that you're safe, well, underneath that door handle you deposited the rear view mirror. When you reach up on a stolen car, the first thing that I would do when I recovered a stolen car is I would dust the rear view mirror, because chances are that the person that stole that car isn't the same height as the person that owned it, and they reached up and they adjusted that mirror. We pull more latent prints off of rear view mirrors than anything else in the car, and they don't think about things like that. So footprints, I'm not sure about where you want to go with that question, but I think there were footprints, and I think that they retrieved footprints. They used oblique lighting. They took photographs, black and white, to show the arcs and grooves of shoe marks. And if you had booties on, it really wouldn't matter. The lands and grooves would still come through those booties if they were wet.
Let's see. What time is it? 2:52. Oh shit! I'm about to have to actually get out of here. 3:00. I'm gonna have to take off for a little bit. I might go live again though tonight. I'm actually thinking about it.
All right. Well, I'm calling it now. These other shows are going to be like all over this show today, and criticizing probably what we're doing here, and I don't care.
I'm better with it. Yeah, but I gotta go take care of some stuff here. But
moving forward,
about going live on this Titanic.
We talked about it, T-REV. Y'all stay tuned, because T-REV and I are going to get together, and we're going to release Kim's email.
Absolutely.
Redacted, of course, and we will pick it apart, and we'll let the audience decide whether she's full of shit. And I think that if anybody reads that, they're going to go, what the hell is this woman thinking? She's crazier than hell.
We're definitely going to get into it. Detective John, I appreciate you being on today. I'll hit you up here shortly.
All right. Hey, everybody, be blessed. Have a great day. God bless the Idaho 4.
Absolutely, my brother. I appreciate you being on. God bless you. Shout out to Detective John for coming on. Everybody give him a round of applause. I appreciate Detective John coming on and sharing his thoughts and expertise with us. I appreciate that. Shout out to y'all. Gentlemen, Death Valley Tiger. Shout out to you. I gotta know Katie D, Cali Thunder, Angelic Darkness, Ghost Devil, Venus, Carrie, DNA. Let's see, great. I appreciate you. Thank you, Lupo. I might do a live later on the Titanic, but definitely releasing that email. So I'm gonna redact that email and release it. I feel like the bullshit needs to be put to rest on that, and that's just my opinion on it, because too many people are just giving it that shine out, and I just don't think it should be put out. But I'm gonna holler at you guys in a little bit. I love you. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out, and I'll see you guys in Discord. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What is going on?
Anyone who knew Kaylee will tell you the same thing. To know her was to love her. Her love for life and everyone in it was so inspiring. She made it a priority to make everyone feel so important and so loved.
There was never a day that she didn't want to race her brother, because she was just determined that girls were faster than boys, or that she didn't want to go bug her little sisters.
Favorite memory for me was watching the game with her. And every time the Steelers scored, I'd pick her up and I'd hold her high in the air.
I didn't really realize that I was in love with Maddie until the summer of 2020. We went to McCall and just spent a lot of time on the water. We floated the river and just hung out every chance we got.
They went to other countries together. Karen took them to Hawaii together. We took them to Mexico together. They went to college together. They went to high school together. They lived in their own apartment together. They were sisters.
She was so positive and lighthearted and understood the gift of life more than anyone I know. I remember her getting so mad at me for caring about the little things that didn't matter. She would always tell me she wouldn't know what to do without me, and now I have to live this life without her.
And she taught me a lot of stuff. She taught me how to be a dad. And I didn't know that until she was gone, you know?
Xana, you will not be forgotten. You have impacted so many lives and have given people so much love. I hope I can make you proud and try to leave an impact on this world and on people like you did.
He had such an infectious smile and a charismatic personality. And if you knew anything about Xana as well, they were very similar in how they acted together.
They were always so happy, and the way she would talk and smile about him was something I've never seen her do before. She truly loved him so much, and I know he had so much love for her.
We are eternally grateful that we spent so much time with him. And I want to remind you that that's the most important message that we have for you and your families, is to make sure that you spend as much time as possible with those people, because time is precious.